Hello. Sorry,
Hi.
having a. It's beautiful out here today in Winnipeg. It's only about -5 out, so it's Slurpee weather today.
It's called Mad People. That's Mad People.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. It's Sunday. We're one person less today. Damien couldn't make it with us this week, but that's fine. We'll give him a pass this week, but we expect him here bright and early next Sunday, and he's got to do some overtime. For no pay, no raise. Thanks very much for everybody else tuning in. Ross, that's good to see you. Thank you. What's going on? We've already been chatting, but how's it going? How was your week?
I'll pretend we haven't said that. Oh, nothing,
Yeah.
All is good.
Yeah.
I'm just knackered.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like if we get to a point where you're just seriously fighting to keep yours open, just tell me and we can.
Don't worry.
We don't need to go like our usual 3 hours.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's naked. I don't think I'm naked that way. I'm naked more in my head, like emotionally, and like I told you, I'm working with my kid doing stuff, so that takes more. Well, I mean, generally, it takes toll on anything. Like your head, your, straight train of thoughts. But I'm not usually. Oh, look at who's here.
How's it going, bud? And Chris is here. Some comics.
Hello.
We were just saying that you owe us some overtime there, Damien, next when you're back.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna have to just do 1 hour before us, and then we just join you, just because.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in generally, it's good week of some stuff. Not so good at the end of them, but reading comic books was a challenge. That's the only thing I can say. Not because I didn't want to. It's more I'm more tired. It's the weather. I'm blaming everything for the weather. I hate rain, and the rain it's here all the time. It doesn't stop. But anyway, Oh, look, Damon says he's going to talk twice as fast. Okay, good luck, Damon. So, I've been roaming, like, talking comic books now. I've been reading, like, sporadically once again. So I pick up on something, I pick up on another thing to read. Mainly been very cute. Like, I'm very happy I read the first appearance of Doom. And first appearance of Submariner, which is basically, like I could have just started reading from like issue 1 of Fantastic Four, but it's like, nah, why should I? I just wanted to basically read it from Doom. Like I really was not wanting to know that first real appearance, even though I kind of, when I started reading, in the back of my head, I was like, oh yeah, it sounds familiar, because probably I read some, trades or reprints or something like that. So, but definitely great to see how they imagine him first. And he looks kind of the same way anyway now. But his origin, of course, has changed quite a bit. Because what I'm saying is that one of my favorite Doom's origins is written by Brubaker. Because, like, we've been reading some of the Brubaker stuff, but his Marvel work is actually quite good as well. Whatever he has been written. So Dooms, he has the Book of Doom, I think is called the name of the things. So the way because he established the Doom's origin from the childhood, like in Fantastic Four, you have Doom as already a grown-up man, and like he's been college, Reed Richards is well known about him. They were like kind of like classmates or university classmates, and he knew him as like really smart in his brain, but he wanted to just have that magic power kind of thing. He was like, it's nice how you put that, like this tall helmet where basically look like, those old school like hairdressers, to blow dry hair. So kind of felt like that. It's funny because, like in that era and age. But the one thing I can tell you Jack Kirby's art in that time, he didn't have his own yet. Like it just like seems to be just beginning, but he's Sue Richards, such a beautiful way of drawing her. She's such a really like those that beautiful that era females, like the perfect perm hair, like a blonde, but the figure is like very sleek, and it's like just like you imagine, you can close, like you see that picture and you can imagine seeing the like magazines or fashion magazines in that time. So she looks fantastic, and even Reed Richards looked kind of like weird at the beginning, like different. When afterwards I was reading Submariner's first appearance, which happened like an issue or 2 issue before prior. Actually confused what number it is of Fantastic Four anyway. But what I'm saying is, reading the way I was reading that Marvel Unlimited is really great to do it reading the Silver Age. It's really like I'm talking again and again about the same thing, but having that blown up panels and a lot of like bubbles really just doesn't feel so tiring and exhausting. Like it doesn't let you think about it like the whole page, because you just like you're focusing on just one panel. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was even reading while I was putting my son to sleep. I was reading and I was really enjoying it. It just felt that era, and I felt like I kind of now know how Stan Lee was there in that time. I mean, after a while, it just felt like really good and well flowing storytelling kind of thing. So I really enjoyed that thoroughly. So I read Submariner's first appearance, and I was surprised because I'm not sure if somebody I saw talking about it as well, how he appeared, but he was the way he appeared in Fantastic Four was he was like a hobo man, like who forgot his what he was and who he is. An actual Human Torch discovered him by chance because he was hanging out with Fantastic Four, and then he found him, this guy who's not talking. Has his beard and stuff like, and suddenly like he gives a shave, and you're like, oh my god, this is Submariner, and he's like, I don't know who you're talking about. It's not me. So he lost his memory somehow. But I'm not sure if they have explained how he lost his memory, because when he basically Human Torch just like punched him and he threw him into the water, and by going into the water, Submariner suddenly got his memory back. Like, what the or powers back. Oh, I am this great Submariner, the strongest man in the world. But that's what typical Silver Age comic books would do that, like that bizarre way of like, oh, a memory back, just splash of water. Like seawater.
Like in the Flintstones, when Fred used to get a bowling ball dropped on his head, all of a sudden they have a change of personality.
Yeah. So everyone knows the
2099 Doom.
Oh, I don't know that one. I never read that story. So
there was a whole bunch of those 2099 series.
There's a Spider-Man one.
Of them, but I don't remember which one I read.
Yeah. Huh? Anyway, so
that sounds cool though.
Yeah, so all those Silver Age stuff is fantastic, and now I start reading, which I have not finished yet. Give me a second. I'm gonna. Oh my god, that takes so long. Going okay. I'm gonna show you this issue I'm on at the moment. Oh, self-conscious again. Seeing myself in the big screen. Oh my god, come on, Rasa. Just I don't know how to use this program still quite nicely because you stupid. Oh, there you go. So the screen glare. Yeah, this way. Let me just. There you go. This is the issue number 7. And where the Fantastic Four is basically Reed Richards now looks a bit more like a Jack Kirby, to be honest. I don't know if you noticed this. And Sue is a bit crazy like a head in here, but this is the story where some alien creatures are coming in to kidnap Fantastic Four because they are that's some panels because they are the cleverest of the world, and he's saying because they have a problem, the big meteorite is coming towards the homeland to destroy it, basically. How say when everything gets destroyed in one go? Oh,
oops, sorry.
It's okay. You're playing around.
I'm messing around here. Yeah, push the.
But so what I mean by this, like when you're reading, what is great, you just double tap,
There we go.
and you have the full screen, and it just
Yeah.
brings up the art so nicely. This is like excuses of, because Fantastic Four, before this kidnapping happens, they had to appear into this like politicians, kind of like to thank them for doing the services for them, and they in here, because of this paneling, the excuse
Oh, great.
of how they gonna not want to be joining that kind of event because they gonna be destroying them, because the thing is self-conscious of who he is and how everybody's gonna laugh.
Mhm.
And you can see the art still of people's faces is not very consistent, but when he gets it, because I can blown up so crazy all the like all the boxes, you can
Yeah.
see all imperfections, but this is beautiful. Human Torch having a shower
Yeah.
and singing, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, we're gonna die!" And then he flames on, because thing is, it's all the time having a thing, and him having like
They always
like
had a bit of a rivalry, hey?
yeah, they're always trying to find each other. That's really
Mhm.
nice panel as well. So yeah, it's and the Reed Richards coming through the heating or fan, which is fantastic as well. So as you can see,
Wow,
this
That's
look,
amazing. That's an
Yeah.
amazing or panel.
yeah,
What the
that
hell?
you see the Sue, she looks wonderful in this one. She also
Yeah.
actually reminds me, you know, that Bewitched, the actress
Yes.
of Bewitched. She looks kind of too, like, very similarly to her. Anyway, so oh yeah, and the amazing car, which looks like basically a bowl, and they sit in it. Which is fantastic still. And then those creatures comes into the like, this is the guy, a robot comes to kidnap Fantastic Four, which is like, as I say, Kirby's art and everything just astounds me even more, like in the beginning of this Fantastic Four, because everything looks just great for me. Look at the Thing's emotion. I mean, none of the people can really draw Thing as well as he was drawing it in that time, to be honest, in my opinion. And that's them going into the media, and everybody's clapping because, you know, they thanking Fantastic Four for the service, and they giving him like this gratitude. So yeah, it's fun. As I say, this to read this kind of things on the tablet, it's absolutely fantastic, because I think I'm even more appreciative of art in that era, because, as I say, I can blow up some panels so nicely, and I can see them in such a nice, like, you know, like just like reading with magnifying glass kind of thing, to be honest, you know, and seeing that.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised, like, well, I guess I'm not too surprised. It's amazing how crisp it looks, even blown up, right, on an iPad.
Yeah.
Each of those, they look so beautiful, you know.
Exactly. And you know what, it's like the colors doesn't look bad, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then when you don't have what just happened, when you don't have panels blown up, you have all this, and it's kind of intimidating. And that's why I think what people tends not to read Silver Age comic books, because of that. Because look at how many bubbles there is to read.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but then when you do that, you don't see this, you know. So anyway, I keep on repeating myself. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is I'm thoroughly enjoying my Fantastic Four reading, and I'm planning to read even more, because you know, why not? Because I can.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so did you subscribe? Because wasn't it just a week trial period, or was it a month trial period?
No, it's the week's trial period. So I yes, where I'm reading. Sorry, I just want to show this because I'm really looking forward to reading this.
Cool cover. That cover I've seen. That's amazing.
Yeah, and Hulk and the Thing is gonna get at it, so which really gonna be something I'm interested. Yes, I am gonna continue with it, because at least for a month now, and see how I feel, how much attention I'm giving to this, and then see how I, you know, like how I feel about, you know, if it's worth it for me, and you know, like continue after that month, because so far I'm very excited about everything what I'm reading, especially those books. And then I'm talking about completely about different things. I've read
Oh,
this.
nice. That's
So I don't have
Long
this.
Adventure, is that what it
Yeah,
is? Yep.
yeah. I don't have this in the first issue. That's the synopsis. Who is in charge in that time? Mike Krill. And I'm surprised how the art is, to be honest, because in here you can see in the back, it looks great, no?
Yeah, it does look good. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's digital. And now I wanted to show you this, but then I have issue 2 of actual issue, and then I show you this panels. It kind of, in a way, it presents itself like similarly, to be honest.
Nice.
What I like is like it's very mixed media. There's a lot of pencils in here, especially when they want to foreshadow like somebody like this girl here. You see all this in the pencil, and then you have in those panels here you have an ink. So it's interesting the way they were trying to play with this.
That's a mini series, right?
Yeah, it's 3 issues, I think.
Okay.
Well, I have 3 issues. I hope it is 3 issues because I have 3 issues. So the past is in pencil now. I just realized while looking at it more closely. So this is like a story of Green Arrow where he's kind of old in here, to be honest. He feels old as well when he's like talking here. So we have Dinah, who is oh my god, what's her power? She's the bird chick. What she does is, oh my god, I always do this to myself when I talk about comic books I read. I completely forget. Oh my god.
Sorry, I have no idea.
His lover. She's a superhero as well. They kind of gets to team up together. And her name is Dinah. But what's about Sparrow? Not Sparrow. Is it? No, it's a bird. Basically, she's basically has the when she screams the she screams the Black Canary. There you go. Sonic power. Thank you, Sleepy Reader. Oh my god, I always blank when I talk to. I feel like looking at myself and showing you this big screen and go crazy. So the beginning of the first issue, we start with killings. Lots of killings, like almost like prostitutes getting killed and slashed.
Yeah.
Like you can see, this chick is gonna get slashed. So, and it's called Seattle Slasher Strikes an 18th Victim, and you have him here, our Green Arrow, and Dinah down at the bottom, just basically living kind of together. And it seems to be that he's not being who like Green Arrow in the story yet, because I guess I don't know. I'm not really sure because I don't remember many of stories of the Green Arrow, but I don't know if he's based in Seattle because it seems to be in this story they just kind of like they are there. Living together, and that's Black Canary with black hair, and that's the thing I never knew. Kind of, all I mean, I knew, but wasn't sure why she's having always a blonde wig to get her identity, I guess, hidden.
Yeah,
but I like her as a brunette. I wish she should just keep to be brunette as a Black Canary, but I guess not. It doesn't appeal people that much.
Exactly.
And then they talk to whichever, and suddenly somebody just smash into the house, this chick, and says, "Oh, help me!" And Dinah basically is doing an investigation about cocaine, and she's not basically doing as a Black Canary. She's just investigating it. And the panels are beautiful. The art is actually very representative for that time of when it was written. So it's 18 some. When is it published? 87.
Yeah, it looks pretty great.
Yeah. So
I gotta keep my eyes open for it.
Yeah. So she's gonna investigate the cocaine drugs stuff, because the chick who basically jumped in the house, she was a teenager who was basically overdosing with the drugs. And then there's another story where the slasher is coming after killing all the prostitutes in Seattle area. And then you have this weird Green Arrow portrait. He's like really very thankful about, like, he likes to see himself and basically representing in that kind of stuff. And it tells you in here also the story how he became like he was, like he landed on that island while he was, and he had to survive. This is the panels that shows you how he did it. Like he created the green arrow, the arrow, how to survive. He was eating anything, whatever is living. As you can see, he's eating lizard in here, which is great panel. And then he looks like a Tarzan in here, a bit more handsome though, like a model Tarzan kind of thing. So yeah, I was just, as I say, I always wanted to read more Green Arrow. I always it appealed to me, this kind of like Robin Hood type of ghetto in that era, to see how they wanted, because the TV shows, I watched some TV shows, but never appealed. You see in here, it even shows you the history, what he had to go through. So from the old Green Lantern series, when he was Green Lantern and Green Arrow, so you have when he was shooting up the famous issue, shooting up drugs.
That's right. Yeah.
So he shows you in here, reminds you of that as well in here. So
yeah,
as I say, a couple of stories.
Was that the Denny? Was that Denny O'Neil that was writing those?
Yes,
ones then?
Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
which very expensive. And then you have
infamous issues.
Yeah, and you have a Black Canary's infamous fishnet stocking.
Later, Damien. Thanks for hanging out for a bit.
Gonna go. Yeah, cool. Look at that outfit, and she's blondie here. You see, and then basically in here also you have basically established relationship with the establishing kind of relationship with Black Canary and Green Arrow. He's asking her, like, because he's like, as I say, he's aged here, and then in the relationship he's basically asking Black Canary to have kids with him, and she's like no, because basically the way who they are and what they do, she doesn't want them to have to bring up kids who is gonna basically don't have parents anymore. So she says, no, I don't want to have kids to you anymore. And then it has great, like I said, great panels, quite a bit of a Bibilich, hidden one a little bit, but for DC comic books is quite a bit in graphic. But honestly, so far, because I haven't finished it yet, so far, whatever I've read in this is the issue 1. I'm just showing you with my tablet, but issue 2, it's all about this killer here, this female mystical chick from Japan who has this amazing skill of being wielding the arrow as well, bow and arrow, but she's like been taught from like almost like 6 maybe. She looks like 6 in here. In this, I'm talking about this panel here, and then you have this. So what I've read so far, I thoroughly, as I say, enjoyed it. What I want to basically finish the last issue I have this is in here. This one, book 3. Tracking Snow. So we'll see. I mean, I will tell you guys, of course, I will let you know when I finish it and see what I feel. Yeah. But so far where I am, I have really good feeling towards it. And, like if it's going to continue my interest in the other things, Green Arrow, because I have a couple of things, I collected it as well in my collection. So I want to basically start to maybe discover something more. Another thing which I always liked is the Amanda Connor's interpretation of Black Canary. Her art is now one of my favorites as well for DC Comics. Another thing I never read of hers, which is very curious, I'm talking about DC now, is the Power Girl with that boob window. So she written her story of her and her husband, Amanda Connor and her husband. They wrote the story of her. I kind of like, a lot of people saying it's one of the good stories about Power Girl anyway. So just me randomly going in and out. As I say, I'm very sparse. Push me in the buying, checking out. Oh, interesting. So so as I say, I am very sporadic when it comes to especially it depends on my mindset. Like I'm very busy with my child and trying to making him member of society. So I have to teach him a lot of good stuff to be not to be some weirdo or something like that. So it takes toll on me. So whatever I feel in my head and after all ordeal with him, I usually tend to read. That's why I think I'm reading so sporadically with everything. But this Marvel Unlimited app is definitely something really entertaining because I can just tap into Silver Age, that's what I basically want of Marvel. you know. So, and Wanda, there's a mini of Wanda as well. Oh, talking about it afterwards, I mentioned if we're going to talk about WandaVision.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because of the latest episode, and we're gonna be spoiler alert, I think, because of I want to talk about that because I read some information in the comic book, so I want to share. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, go for it. Let's go for it now. Just jump into it now. Go for it.
Oh really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. May as well. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we watched it last night, so we waited because we always wait till my son is over. My son is over on Saturdays, so we always wait so we can watch it together. I thought that the last few issues were going to be an hour long, but it turns out that's not the case. But
okay.
You know, it was still, you know, it's still good to get that chunk of it. So, what did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. I like the way I think my favorite part was Vision and how he had to deal with the girl from Thor.
Yes.
And the comedic part, because I think he's really good actor. So he is being like, you know, like sitting in that chair and having that fourth wall breakage or whatever they call that.
Yeah.
You know, like they're sitting and getting interviewed, and he's like, "Why I'm sitting here?" You know.
Yeah.
that part was spectacular for me. I think one of the favorites. But it felt a little bit. I don't know. It felt tame at from the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt like that conversation Wanda keep on having, it's fine, and her headspace, but the things were happening because maybe she just that hex power expansion, she had to do so much because she was keep on growing, and it doesn't seem that she's actually controlling it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, and we find out why she doesn't control it, and the actress who I'm talking to now, really spoiler, this is like proper spoiler, guys, so if you are
proper spoiler, full on spoiler,
fair
warning, ruining the whole episode for you.
Yeah, if you have not watched it, please go away. I'm sorry, but I need to talk about it because of the character gets introduced. So I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, Anna Harkness. So the witch, who's apparently also in charge of this shabacle, what's happening in that. What's the town's name? View?
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That town where Wanda is in. We thought that Wanda was in charge. So funny enough, now talking about the comic book I'm talking. So I was reading this comic book. There's a miniseries from 1986. I can't show it to you because I don't know where it is now. In Marvel Unlimited, by the way. So there's this mini issue came out with WandaVision where they left Avengers. They're completely leaving Avengers and they're just going to be a kind of a married couple. So finally having their life. Westview. Thank you, Jackie. That's the town where we live. So, and then the comic book, basically, we have seen, actually before that mini, in that mini they're going to talk about the kids, that's why I wanted to read it as well, because of one day you talk about those kids, those twins, and I've never heard of them, like in comic with Noir, you know, like a lot of information you find out new. But in the comic books as well, Wanda, because she has that hex power, but not because she's a mutant or all of that, but also she's into witchcraft. Mm-hmm. Now, in comic books, Anna Harkness, the witch, she actually was a teacher of Wanda. She's the one who taught her all the witchcrafty part. So she was, gave her even, I mean, you have such a power already of Wanda, but now she's like, oh yeah, I want to tap into witchcrafting. So I want to enhance myself to being even more powerful in a way, to manipulate, to like living. That's the thing, the powers in the comic books, what she was teaching her, how to manipulate everything living. So what we're having in TV show is basically what she's doing without maybe knowing. And if she's going to be a teacher or she's going to be a villain, we will see in the TV show. But that part, I was like, oh my God, I've read it. It's like, you know, like when you read and you get information, you're like, oh, I know her. Kind of, I've met her before, in a way, like a celebrity in a way. Yeah. But the actress who's acting her, I love that woman.
Yeah, so do we.
I forgot that.
She's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, what's her name?
And I don't know, but we just find her really entertaining. Like, you know, fuck their names. Who cares what their names are? They're some sort of actor. But we totally get a kick out of it. She's been super entertaining throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, we know those snippets when she's like, "Oh, I had say in that one," and you see those panels, and you're like, "My God, that like the acting part." I mean, of course, they have good directors and all that stuff, but as an actress itself, and the emotion she portrays, like the crazy, very happy, very serious, and she's about to like die, and then the naughty part. And I like that when I see in acting, like if you have like proper acting job kind of thing, like you expecting them to do those kind of things, but in her, from facial expression, she does it so well. And I'm looking forward to see that, like when she was sitting in director's chair and she looked back and she's like, I'm very kind of that naughty look. I love that part. It's like, fuck, that's great. So I was very excited because I saw her, and I'm wondering where we're going to tap into, because information what I've read in the comic books, I have not read part, because she was basically employed by Wanda itself, but like she was even able to, like that Doctor Strange villain,
Nightmare, Eternity.
Yeah. No, Dormammu. Yeah. So Wanda was in Dormammu's abode in one of the Avengers comic books, and Harkness came through and whipped her out of it. So she has power in half for witchcrafting. So she's even able to deal with Dormammu, who's supposed to be a being of note. And my husband thinking, is Wanda, she's like a celestial being? I was like, I'm not sure. That's a bit much.
Well, the one video that I saw, whatever the term was that they used for Wanda, she's kind of, maybe we've talked about this before, no matter what the reality is or no matter what dimension she's in, Wanda is always the one anchor point. She's always, or Scarlet Witch is always the anchor point. So she's always the same in all of these realities. So one of the theories was, and again, I don't know the comics at all, so I might be completely talking out of my ass, but one of the things that I had heard was that may be the thing, that this Harkness was using her to gain access to all of these other realities through this hex shape, because apparently that hex shape itself is very significant all through the Marvel movies, and even so that's apparently the one thing that ties together all these realities. But because Wanda is the constant throughout all of those, tapping into her powers gives her apparently more access to these other dimensions, and apparently that's how it might tie into the new Doctor Strange movie as well, the multiverse of madness or whatever it is. So that might we might see this directly kind of end on a spoiler, where it's or not a spoiler, sorry, end on like a little teaser right into the Doctor Strange movie. I have a feeling, which I'm excited for. The one thing, it wasn't my favorite episode. I'll just say that out of the gate. I enjoyed it. It was still good. It wasn't my favorite. The one scene that drove me crazy was that whole Rambo scene where she's in they get that vehicle for her and she puts on the spacesuit and she's going to drive in. That was the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. Like, especially on a show that's been really good up to this point. It's like, what possible reason do you think that that's going to work? Like, I didn't understand. It seemed like someone fell asleep at the writer's table and just went into there. Like, it didn't make any sense. It's like, there's been nothing leading up to this point that makes us believe that what you're planning is going to work at all. Like, she alters everything that comes in there. She has control. Like, it was so ridiculous that it honestly kind of took me out of the show for a bit. Because I just looked at it felt like time filler, you know what I mean? Where we're already dealing with like a 40-minute episode to begin with, or less than that, actually.
Yeah.
And that just felt like, well, you could have had a better part of the story in here. It kind of was a disappointment. So the show overall kind of, like, it had its moments, but it wasn't, it was one of the weaker episodes so far. And it, and of course, anytime you get to these kind of points in a show or a movie or something, how you wrap it up is obviously hugely important. And I hope that it still ends well. I still have hope for it because it started off so strong, right? So,
yeah, I think that all that mystery, actually, which we were so, like at the beginning, were like, oh, so what we're doing this, what we're gonna show to us, but we actually love that part because of the mysterious. But now they start to revealing a lot of things. Who is in charge? Maybe who is in charge? When she went into that basement, I actually at first I was having like looking. It's like, no, there's no way Doctor Strange. It feels like Doctor Strange-ish. Everything, the book and everything's like, no, don't do the Doctor, not yet. Like, too early, don't do Doctor Strange yet. And thankfully they didn't, which is great. But I can understand that, Rambo. But Is this the time when that Rambo? It's that Captain Marvel. Her power is Captain Marvel, isn't it?
Well, apparently she, and again, it's not a character that I know. Apparently she had a couple of different superheroes that she's been with these different powers and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool when she finally fought her way in there, when she had that vision, when she could see kind of the energy moving around. Apparently that's a direct reference to one of the heroes from one of the characters from the comic. But again, because I don't know the comics, I don't remember the name. The names didn't mean anything to me. So some of that stuff, I think that's also where my, it's still interesting because it's cool to get introduced to new heroes and stuff like that. But some of it just goes over my head because I'm not catching those references, right? Like I'm not directly knowing what that stuff is. But it's clear that she has powers, and it's been hinted at for a long time too, like in the show. But it's just now it feels like she's, and what the guy in the video was talking about, because I noticed it when we were watching the show, when Wanda had her up in the air and she lands and she does that 3-point landing, it's like, that's totally a superhero landing. You know what I mean? Landing on one fist on the ground. It's like, she's a superhero. It's so it'll be cool. I think that part will be fun.
Yeah, my husband, the minute she landed, my husband's like, superhero. I was like, exactly. Oh, okay. I didn't even I didn't catch on to that, but yeah, afterwards the landing and stuff. I wonder what kind of thing. It could be a lot of people speculating it could be inhuman power because of Wanda and her abilities to manipulate everything, and that's what I'm trying. That's how she, in the comic books, Wanda switched off every single X-Men's power. Like they switched them off to being X-Men or like mutants, and generally she's just like, and that's the power she can hold. So imagine, I think it's a really good for Marvel movies or whatever that spectacular TV shows we're doing it. It's very good to get this character to do whatever they want to do, because that's like people are all saying that opens up so many doorways for them to just tap into, like everybody says, like you don't want to like continuation, you just go like the multiverse. It gives you that, you can manipulate whatever kind of your Thor you wanted to see, let's say, for example, or what kind of like like stories you want to tap into, like X-Men or Fantastic Four. That introduction is easier now because of her, just that TV show.
Well, and also it also allows them as writers to write whatever the hell they want, and then at some point, if it's not working out, go, that was one of the multiverse things, we got rid of that, you know what I mean? So it allows them a lot of creativity, which is exciting for me. I know that can be seen as a bit of a cop-out, but I mean, let's be honest, we're talking about superhero TV shows and movies, right? So we're not getting fucking, high art here by any stretch, nor do I want it. But I think it allows for more creativity where they can go a little crazier. And that's the part, like we talked about when the Doctor Strange movie came out. I loved that they went the way that they did with that movie, that they went that way with the visuals. And I feel the same way right now about the movies in general and the shows in general, because it really feels like they're just opening the floodgates on, hey, let's just tell some crazy ass stories. You know what I mean? Because they do have that out. I think it's going to be fun to see what kind of things that they go for, and what kind of, maybe they tap into some real classic stories and take nuggets from a bunch of different places and just go wild with it. I think that's kind of exciting for me personally. Regardless of at the end, they just go, oh, whatever, that was all the multiverse. None of that was real. And here we're back to our continuity. That'll be fine. I think it'll just be a nice break and especially coming out of a pandemic, you know what I mean? Where people have been locked up for like a year or whatever, to have this kind of burst of creativity and just show us a whole bunch of crazy stuff, I think will be kind of fun.
I think in generally it's nice for them to basically make this kind of TV shows again with all that, playing around with the past, like showing that like that time of like every single time you see Wonder episode, it seems to be it's in different time, like 90s, 80s, 70s, 50s, whatever that was. But that's great because it's just like, it reminds me of what used to be. We used to be thinking, oh, it's just a stupid TV show, but now I kind of like, I wish they could be back with that kind of stuff because I miss it. I grew up with that. Maybe that's what the nostalgic part of me is there.
It's the nostalgia thing,
yeah. But the thing is, it's more like you. I don't know how you are, but every single TV shows that's come out lately, I don't know what to watch, to be honest, because it feels the same all the time. It's just like you want something different. And Marvel, maybe it is different, but I am interested because of course, I'm reading comic books first thing. Another thing is entertaining in generally, just to see something fresh. But I just like all the stuff, like whatever I used to watch, like nostalgia part is kind of really strong for me. And that wonder part when they were jumping in that timelines, I actually really liked it because it just gives
Yeah.
you a glimpse of what used to be or reminds you of what.
Well, that's the thing. I love the premise, right? I just think it's an
Mhm.
original, it's a neat premise, not an original
Mhm.
premise, but it's an interesting premise to
Mhm.
build a TV show around, right? And then take nods to
Exactly.
these TVs. It allows for kind of the type of acting that was in there, and just to see them do these things, it's cool.
Mhm.
And as for stuff now, I don't watch anything. Like I'm not a TV watcher anymore. I just don't,
Yeah.
because I just don't have the interest, and that's been like that for quite a few years. I'll still
Mhm.
watch movies here and there, but even movies I don't watch a ton of anymore. I'd much rather read and do creative stuff than sit and watch TV. I just can't
True.
be bothered to get myself involved unless it's like we had the Vikings, that I watched. Me and my son binge watched.
Yeah.
We're rewatching Twin Peaks now together, actually. So we're about 5
Whoosh.
episodes into that, which is kind of fun. So I haven't seen that for a long time, so that's kind of fun to watch again. Because Jaden is right into David Lynch, and he's really into adventurous, more arty, I guess, kind of movie watching and stuff. He's really trying stuff out, which is great. So he expressed an interest in watching it, and I absolutely let's give it a shot. It's super cool watching that show again. And actually, just to kind of take a quick sideline, like what the couple episodes that we watched.
Yeah.
Obviously no spoilers whatsoever, but it's because it's kind of the crux of the show. But knowing what I know, because I've seen all of Twin Peaks, rewatching some of those early episodes, there's some stuff in there early on that when I first watched it, because I was watching it when it was coming out, was just like, wow, that's so weird. Now that I know what's coming up, there's actually a couple of scenes that were really like, they were just really sad, you know what I mean? Because kind of what's underneath that surface, and it completely reads differently. There's still an oddness to it and stuff, but there's some moments, like especially with Laura's parents grieving and stuff like that, like it's kind of chilling, you know what I mean? It's really, really good to see again after all this time, so.
I kind of always thought I want to rewatch the Twin Peaks again, but just I remember how weird they went further in when they start talking backwards and all that bullshit, and it's like you have, for me especially, the headspace has to be so clear and don't have issues in my own head to watch that. Basically, I have to be really right time, like frame of mind, in order to basically concentrate on doing that, because like you say, the Twin Peaks has so many of those moments. To be honest, like thinking now you're describing those episodes and those parents mourning, I can actually close my eyes and seeing her dead. So it's like, it's very graphic in a way, and I think it was one of the probably first shows where I cared about the actual person, like felt like very, very real, like like the person actually dying and people are going through that kind of like emotional part. But yeah,
well, and I don't know if you ever watched the Fire Walk with Me movie. That's to this day, like even thinking about Fire Walk with Me, like that's a terrifying movie, and it's upsetting in a different kind of way. Again, like Lynch has this ability to kind of really draw out these moments and really kind of revel in kind of the darkness below the surface and that sort of thing. But there's something extra disturbing about Fire Walk with Me, and again, like it's just that when you kind of see a glimpse of what the show really is about, yes, it's this soap opera, yes, it's all of these things, especially when Lynch stepped away from it and Mark Frost took over. There was a whole bunch of episodes that were really kind of soap opera, which I personally wasn't a fan of at all. I thought those were really weak episodes. The Lynch stuff is what I'm there for. That's why I wanted to watch the show to begin with, right? But when you kind of get that other perspective on what that show is, it's actually a really disturbing and dark topic to make a TV show about and turn into a soap opera, so it's really, and I mean, I've just always loved the guy as a director. I think he's a hell of a guy, even just listening to him talk and stuff, but it's really nice to revisit this again, because I haven't watched David Lynch stuff for quite a long time, so it's cool. And especially with my son getting into it, it'll be fun to watch some of those again. I think, like, I'm looking forward to watching Blue Velvet again, maybe when he's a year or two older, but tapping into that, that'll be fun to see again.
So your son is positive towards the TV show, or how does he find it? Does he get the interest levels?
Yeah, he's getting more interested. The first couple of episodes, he wasn't as interested because it's those soap opera things. He's like, because we talked about it after the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, yeah, it's okay. And then once there was some more kind of like those lynchy moments, because he's like me, right? So
Yeah.
when those lynchy and kind of moments came up, then all of a sudden he was like, oh, okay, I like this. This is getting, kind of got the gist of it. Because I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest, there's some real cheeseball stuff in there, right? And kind of goofy, kind of storylines, which are all part and
Mhm.
parcel of the whole show. But I think it did
Yeah.
take him a little bit. So I think we're at a point where he's digging it. He's seeing more of the bigger picture now that we've watched, I think, 5 episodes. So yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, to see actually would be interesting to see actual person of series, like how they react to it, because some of the
Yeah.
stuff is like that log lady. Get
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
one that's really absolutely bizarre. But like
Yeah.
it suits the time what the TV show is basically doing, and the characters, and that little town, the atmosphere is trying to portray it. And that's really
Yeah.
feel. But when they I want to know how he's gonna feel when they're gonna start doing that weird stuff when they in that red room and stuff like that with that. Oh, I can't even. I close my eyes. I
We've
can
been
see.
we've been introduced to the Black Lodge already, and he loved
Oh,
it
I
the
see.
first. So we Cooper had his first dream. So Cooper was old, and
Yeah.
the woman that looked like Laura Palmer was there, and the
Yeah.
little dancing man was there doing his backward speaking and stuff, and she was giving him all these clues. And again, like even that scene, again, knowing what comes up, there's so much in that little scene that's like clear markers to where things are going, and there's a couple of really obvious kind of clues like as to what's going to happen, right? That again, you don't see it when you just see this weird shit going on and this guy talking backwards and dancing. It's like, what the fuck is this? But with that knowledge now, it's like, no, he's dropping some real good nuggets in there, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try a different layout here just because still have you there instead of just going solo. So I was a little late today because we wanted to start at 2. I was telling Ross before we started, I've done a lot of auctions and trying to sell stuff over the kind of 8 months or so through some of the local comic groups. A bunch of us have been doing like dollar auctions, that kind of thing. So I had a stack of books and then also just some books that were just time to go. And my favorite place in town, Red River Bookshop, is open. So I figured me and my daughter would go. We went to the park for a little while for about an hour, and then we went to Red River Books to trade in a bunch of stuff. He gave me, as usual, an incredible deal on trade. My daughter got a stack of books. She got some comics. We actually found 4 issues of Vision and the Scarlet Witch out of that 12-issue series. So we found 4 of them. So we're going to eventually get the rest of them, and we're probably all going to read them together as a family. You just got in from the warehouse. Oh boy, I'm looking forward to that video, the infamous warehouse haul video. So, and then she found like a My Little Pony comic, and then she just found some books too, some chapter books and stuff. So that was really great. But I found a nice kind of stack of stuff. So I thought, just for something different, we can just look through a bunch of this stuff. There's some mini series here, and then there's a couple of things that kind of completed some runs for me. So I guess over the time that we've had where nothing has been open, he's kind of shifted around some of his stock. So there was some new books in the bins that I hadn't come across before. And of course, now I have different things that I'm interested in. So it's every time I go back, it feels like I'm seeing the bins for the first time again. So this one jumped out at me as we were going through Frankenstein. I think it's just a 3-issue series from Eternity Comics. Oh man, that would be a good video there, Rickard Westman. I'd have to think about that. I mean, the one that immediately pops to my head would be like a Velvet Glove cast in iron that was Dan Clowes did in the 8-Ball series. I would point you to that one because I think I was reading that around the same time as I was really into Lynch and those people, and it really had the feel of like a David Lynch. So I would point you right to the 8-Ball series by Dan Clowes. But as for other ones, I'd have to think about it. So with some of these kind of indies, it just felt right, even though I'm not a big kind of classic monsters fan. I love this cover so much. It almost looks kind of like Ted McKeever stuff. Absolutely love that.
Who's the creative team?
Let's have a look here. Martin Powell, Patrick Olaf, Clem Robbins, and then Brooks Hagen is doing the cover paintings. But yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things when he has some of these in the bins, they're usually pretty cheap. And especially when he gives me such good trade value, I'm way more willing to try stuff out. But generally, if they have the whole thing, like especially with these mini series, I kind of want the whole story. I don't want to be hunting for just one issue. So like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just these 3 issues, but who knows? I could be wrong. But it looked pretty great. So gave it a shot. He had a stack of kitchen sink spirit books.
Cool.
And there's only 3 that I didn't have, so I grabbed those 3. But I mean, I think I've talked about these and shown them off before. Kitchen Sink did a whole bunch of reprints of the Eisner Spirit, and they're always fun reads. So it's kind of a no-brainer to pick those up, especially when they're sitting there, because some of those books that he has sitting there have been sitting in his bins for I don't even know how long. If Gore is still here, we have I found an Eclipse Comics title that I hadn't seen before, and I don't actually think that it's on my checklist because I don't recognize it's there was a couple of issues true crime comics from Eclipse, and then this is a special number 2. So I'm gonna have to dig for number 1, Apocalypse in Waco. So I imagine it's about Waco, Texas, and the carnage that happened there. I guess I don't really know how to describe it, but there you go. So that's a good Eclipse one that, like I said, I've never had no idea that it existed. And again, it's part of the fun of being through the bins. All of this stuff just jumps out at you. And even that they had trading cards, true crime trading cards, had no idea. So even with all of this Eclipse stuff that's out there, yeah, exactly. All of this Eclipse stuff that's out there, there's still stuff that pops up, no clue about. So, which kind of, now it's just more stuff for me to look for. So that looked pretty good. Some Canadian content, some Chester Brown, Yummy Fur, just 2 issues that I didn't have. This is it's been a really tough series to complete this run. It's just nothing, even here, it just doesn't pop up very much. I think it's one of those books that the people that have them, they're just not getting rid of them. So that was really great to find 2 issues of that.
Show me interior for that. I just want
sure,
to read. Yeah, the covers are great, but
so Chester Brown, this is still kind of, he's found his voice for the most part, but his art it gets even better from here. There's some real outstanding stuff in some of these books. The early stuff, though, you can really see his very, very raw style. This one is absolutely getting more polished. It's getting there. But he's great, man. It's a really interesting creator. Yeah. I think the Kayfabe guys were doing, I haven't watched the video yet, but I think they have a video on his Ed the Happy Clown series out today. I think it's like an hour or whatever where they're looking at it. One of the books that I was going to talk about later, I picked up The Master, which it was just a 2-issue series written by Chuck Dixon. And I loved, and it's one of those books, like the downside of going into the back issues and finding these things is you sometimes find stuff that I want to read a full series of this, but there's only 2 issues. It never went any further. But man, I thought this was such a good setup to a story. He's basically like a Ronin, a masterless samurai. He wants to leave Japan and go exploring around the world. The trouble that he gets into as he's trying to leave. In the second issue, he finds a boat and they kind of take him on, even though they hate the Japanese people, and he kind of gets into a fight on there too. So there's a lot of good carnage, but it's a really, really well laid out premise that, man, I'm really disappointed this never went any further. But when I was digging, New Comics Group had an earlier series done by Larry Hama and Val Mayerick called Young Master. So I think this was like 2 years before. I'm guessing that it's the same character just early on. I don't know that for a fact, but I found 2 issues of that. Issue number 1 and issue number 9. I want to say that it went 12, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So that'll be cool. And like I said, I'm pretty damn sure that's the same character. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
looks similar.
I haven't read it yet. Looks the same to me too. Yeah.
Can I see inside?
Yeah, absolutely. And the style inside is very similar as well too. So I'm really excited to get into this. It's amazing to me the amount of stuff that was out there, like just really throwing out these story ideas and giving it a shot. Oh, good. Excellent. Saying that a friend at the warehouse said it's connected, so that's a good thing. And you found a copy. That's great. And just kind of highlight, go back for a sec here. The Waco tragedy was one of the launching pads for conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. I didn't realize that. Who had an access channel in Austin at the time. I used to watch him thinking, who'd believe this nut? Yeah. That's hilarious.
He was so popular.
So it's just amazing to me that all these companies were just throwing out all these stories and just giving a shot. You know, it definitely felt like a good time to just try things out. What is this? This is 1989. I actually thought it was 1987, but so late 90s anyway. It's just too bad that some of this didn't continue even further. I'm really, really looking forward to those ones. And again, in the world of, hey, that's a cool cover, let's try it out. The Intruder, I know absolutely nothing about it. Unfortunately, the interiors aren't as cool as that cover.
Of course, but, never does that. No.
Yeah, again, they're not bad though. They're pretty cartoony with the really bold black lines and everything. We'll see what it's like. You know, again, when I have these trades, it's just so easy to dig in those bins and just try out whatever catches my interest at the time. And it looked like there was a bunch of, I'm guessing they were all related, but this is something I've never heard of. What the heck is this company even? CFD Productions, 1997. Oh, hey, The Intruder #1 is copyright 1997. John Orlando. What other names do we have here? Yeah. There we go. Anyway, it's sometimes hard to find all the information on these pages, but yeah, so that looks like it'll be fun. And then another one that I have one issue, and I talked about it before. He had a huge stack of these. I only picked up 3. I have number, I think it's 607 of Action Comics.
Oof.
Dude, yeah, look at that cover, first of all. Like, that's a killer cover. But 607 was so fun because it had a Secret Six story. It had a Black Hawk story. There was Superman. There was Deadman. Really, really great. So I got 3. I got 3 more just to kind of continue. But I absolutely love that cover. And he's got, like I said, a ton of them. So if I do kind of get hooked on this title, I know exactly where to go.
Well, that's random.
But super fun. Like that one issue that I bought it just randomly, just because of the Deadman story. And then it turned out like I loved the Secret Six story in there. The Black Hawk story was pretty good. There's a Wild Dog, which is the creators from Ms. Tree doing that. All of it, I liked a bunch of the stories. So, and it's just a super fun read, really easy to read, very kind of, you know, it's just basic superhero stuff. Like sometimes this is exactly what hits home the best, right? Like just really easy to digest. You get 64 pages, 48 pages, and it's fantastic. So I'm actually really excited about that. I never thought I would say that about Action Comics, but I'm actually really excited to dig into those. He didn't have issue number 2 because I only have issue number 1 of American Flag, but he had 3, 4, and 5. So I figured I should grab them because I don't see these out there that much. The Chaykin's American Flag. It's not something that I find all the time. So I figured I'd grab them while I could. I really enjoyed the first issue. So I'll probably just read these anyway, even without. But I mean, classic Chaykin, with babes.
Yeah. Look at that kissing scene. It's raunchy.
Yeah. That's Chaykin for you. With his sharply dressed men and buxom babes.
Actually looks good though, paneling.
It really does. I mean, even like the sound effects and stuff, hey, like that's really, I think that looks great.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then there's some more, like a busy look page, right? But yeah, he's got.
I like the colors.
Yeah.
I think that's what stands out for me. It's the coloring. I actually kind of felt like it's gonna be black and white. I don't know why, because I'm like it feels like it should be like because of the cover that time of era, but it's color. It's great, I think.
And what year do we have on this one? 1983 for this. Like, look at that. Kind of like the grittiness to the line and stuff. You know what I mean? Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I really got to find issue number 2. I don't know where the hell I'm going to find it. I'm going to have to.
Podcast.
American Flag, which according to Gore Vidal's schoolmates was porn. That's hilarious. One that I've never heard of before. He only had this one issue. Sergio Aragone's Boogeyman 4-issue series. So I'm guessing it's Aragone's doing kind of like I'm guessing a horror anthology. Who knows?
Wow, busy.
But, Sergio's amazing art. I've never seen it before. This was the only issue he had, and I really dug, because sometimes in those kind of used book and comic shops, things just get mixed into other bins and stuff. I really had a dig.
I think you should ask Sleepy Reader, because he's a fan of Aragones anyway, isn't he?
Yes. He's a big Sergio fan. He might know about this for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I think it's a one shot. There you go. Scott Cole told you that.
It says, but the thing on here, it says
1 of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe it never went any further. Maybe it only went the one issue. This is from 1998. I have a hard time thinking that would be the case though for Dark Horse. I don't think Dark Horse. I can't see Dark Horse being that company that.
Yeah, we just chop it.
And they just stop it. You know what I mean?
No.
The first 2 issues of this I loved. Esteban Morado and Roy Thomas. This is Dracula Vlad the Impaler. Super glad I found the 3rd issue. It's only a 3-issue miniseries. It was polybagged. I cut it open. It came with 3 cards as well too. So
did you hear about the Deadpool, the X-Force number 1?
I didn't hear about it. No, what happened?
Apparently now there is a trading card of Deadpool in the X-Force number 1. If it's body bagged and it's Deadpool cover, is going for shit money now, like crazy. They've
really?
blown up. It used to be 50p book. Now you can't find it anymore, apparently, because they decided that the apparently, I'm not sure if it's true, but apparently the trading cards of Marvel from the 90s are shooting up in price, and they decided that card from X. Yeah, the card of Deadpool in that X-Force is like a rookie card. I don't know what that means in card terminology, but it's apparently goes crazy. Somebody bought it, like if it's near mint or whatever, like you can actually do the same thing to the cards as the comic books. You can actually slab them and grade them. But apparently, if you have that mint in the book, in that polybag, it's like.
It's even
apparently more. It's like you can say soon you're gonna have like your kids going to college because of those trading cards again.
Yeah. It's the fucking 90s all over again.
The Wolverine as well. The Wolverine is going mad again with those trading cards as well. So Deadpool Wolverine is going crazy. And there's like a limited edition Wolverine trading card. Everybody's like, it used to be nothing, and now it's like hundreds. Apparently, you can get it for, like, you sell it. I don't know what's going on, but.
I mean, it's it's all of the shit. It kind of makes its cycles, right? It does its
Yeah.
everything comes back. Everything becomes popular again. But those
You know, like,
cards, because it's been all over, even the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, the Winnipeg
yeah,
ones, there's guys
yeah,
there talking about it because some of them have the cards and have
yeah.
started to put them up and sell them. And they're making crazy money on some of the shit
Was
that,
it?
again, like you couldn't
Yeah,
get rid of. You couldn't give away at one
yeah,
point. Now they're raking in cash. I think one guy had sold a box. I don't remember if it was one of the Facebook groups or if I saw it on Twitter. I
yeah.
think for like almost $1,000, like a sealed box
What?
of cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
which
heard
is
that.
fucking madness.
Yeah, I heard that seal box, if you have a sealed one, especially those marbled ones, they go for
Yep.
crazy money, especially if it's like, the mint condition, non-opened and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Which is, people loves it because, you have to feel like a kid again opening that, and you have to pay like thousands just to do that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Who
To
was
relive that
thinking that?
experience.
Yeah. Who was thinking
That's the
now that
price on
90s?
nostalgia.
Yeah, 90s. Oh, shit, I should have kept that box
Yeah.
opened.
Well, it just makes me think I should eventually look through my cards and just have a
Yeah.
dig and see what's out there,
Because, for example, Dr. Monkeybot, I bet he has them because he's
I'm
a
sure
huge X-Men fan. Oh yeah, those Marvel Coniums ones, yeah. Like, you see, I told you. So Dr. Monkeybot, I bet he has them because he's a fan of Note and he loves trading cards. So
Yep.
we should tell him, like, do you want to rake in? Maybe stop working. Just sell
Yeah,
your
yeah.
Marvel trading.
Yeah. That's funny. So just about the American flag, thinking that was porn, what would they have thought of Black Kiss? That would have just been unbelievable. There was actually a bunch of Black Kiss comics there, but I'm collecting the big Black Kiss, which was the kind of everything collected. And he didn't have any, and I didn't want to now switch to getting those individual issues, but he had quite a few of just those original ones. And I think I've spoken about it before. I'm surprised at how thin and pamphlet size those were. They weren't like a regular issue. They're like half the size of a regular comic, as far as having way less pages, those Black Kiss ones.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, I'm super excited about this Vlad, and like I said, I'm not a enormous Dracula fan, but the first two issues of this were so great, and the art was just stellar. So very, very excited to free that sucker from its poly bag. Like, look at this.
That's actually really nice, man. I want to. I've never. I don't know. I've never felt like the Topps comic. It was even worth even go for it. Do you know?
100%.
And now it's like I
totally agree with you. I saw Esteban Morado. I totally agree with you. I see these every once in a while, this top stuff, and I think the exact same thing. I don't even bother. I just flip right by him because it's like, that's going to be crap. But when I found those two issues that were not polybagged and actually gave it a shot, I was super impressed, man. Like really, really impressed. So I'm very excited. And he didn't have any of the other issues, just this one. So I'm really glad that I found that sucker. And almost like wrapping it up here, one of the things that I love about his place is sometimes you find a complete mini series. So in my hunt for everything Vertigo, this is one called Skin Graft: The Adventures of a Tattooed Man. It's a 4-issue series, and I got all 4 of them. So that's
who's the writer?
Let's have a look inside. I'll open it up here.
Oh, there you go. Scott Connor saying the Topps Ray Bradbury comics are well worth for picking up.
Cool. Well, I'll keep an eye out for those ones next.
I'm number 1 on the list.
Oh man, I haven't really flipped through any of these yet. The interiors look amazing.
Oh, cool.
Jerry Prosser, Warren Fleece. So 2 names that I don't know, and I'm not finding a credits page here at the beginning.
Nope.
But it looks fantastic on the inside. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
And it is, this is 93. So this is again prime. Oh, here we go. This is prime Vertigo era for me for sure. So.
Yep. Look,
so 1, 2, 3, and 4, all 4 of them.
Well, look at that negative one. Nice. Yeah. Playing with cool.
Photos and actual tattoos, and then this one, someone actually getting a tattoo. So
very imaginative.
Yeah, but like, look at that, man.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
Don't spoil
looks super
yourself. It's
cool.
like the last issue. You're gonna spoil it, the story for you.
Yeah, it's cool. So I'm really excited about that. He had a couple of other Vertigo stuff, but again, it was like a 6-issue mini series, and he only had 4 of them. So because there was a couple that I wanted to pick up, but like I said, I want the whole chunk. I don't want to have to go digging too much. And then one that I couldn't pass up, a Vertigo Phantom Stranger, #1.
Ooh, wow! I didn't
Yeah,
even know
so
that there
Vertigo
exists.
Visions,
How many issues do you think that you ran? Does it say?
1993.
It looks great. This cover. Who's by Alyssa and Guy
Alyssa,
Davis. Guy Davis is kind of like heard. Those names are all familiar to me, though. So.
yeah. There's a look inside.
Oh, cool, man. That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
good colors, man. I didn't expect to be that bold in colors.
And again, it's just this prime Vertigo era, man. Like, just can't go wrong with me. This is the nostalgia here. This is it for me. Like,
Yeah.
this stuff. Look at that. Look at the yellow on that guy's face and stuff. It's great.
Mm.
Looks fantastic.
I like
it's
the
a
yellow
issue as well too. So
yeah, I like the yellow when they bring up the shadows, like the light underneath you, and gives you
Yeah.
all that. Like if it's art, really great. The expressions of the faces are really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Wow, look at this. Oh, those eyes are freaky. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's a good spread there. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the last 2 things. Out
yeah.
of all the time that I've been collecting kind of in comics, I've never actually owned any Zippy the Pinhead stuff. So it's a Fantagraphics. What issue number is this? Issue number 4 of the Zippy series. So I figured give that a shot. And it looks like it's a bunch of strips.
So is it trade or is it just a big format comic?
Yeah, just a magazine, basically. So Fantagraphics, during this time, they had all these magazine-sized issues. This is 1993 is when this came out. So they had a lot of titles that were kind of this format. So yeah, this is one I don't see out there at all. I don't think I've seen any, if any at all. And then finally, I'd sent them an email early on, like maybe a week or 2 ago. Maybe a week ago, this Francois Scoyton series, The Hollow Grounds, they had book 1 upstairs. When it comes from upstairs, they don't allow you to do the trade with it. So it was fine. So I bought this one outright. So this is book 1 of the Hollow Grounds series. They didn't have book 3, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure I saw it there at some point. But like I said, that was quite a while ago. So so this is early on in Scoyton's career. Some of his really, really early work with his brother. So I'm super excited to find this one. The second book is one that I read recently that I loved. It's around here somewhere. Anyway, I talked about it in the last video. Loved it. Really looking forward to digging into this one. This is kind of top of the pile for me. So, and I think the first time I had flipped through it when I saw it up there, I saw these pages and I wasn't as thrilled with it. But having a second look at it again and knowing kind of, again, that this is his early work where he's maybe not necessarily figured out fully what his style is going to be. I like it a lot more than I did the first time I saw it. I'll tell you that much. Those details there are pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And the good old album size. Oh, excellent. I'm glad. So, and then, like I said, my daughter got a bunch of stuff. Such a great store, such a good guy. Dennis is his name. And so we sat and kind of chatted with him at the end. And it's not that he's a grumpy guy by any stretch, but when you can get a smile out of him, it's pretty good. So we were just kind of chatting, saying, it's really nice to see you. I'm so glad to be able to come back into your store. And, he's just such a good dude. So yeah, that's the stack that I got today, which was a nice score.
Especially if you can just like trade something and get something. Isn't it the most? I think it's even more pleasurable when you do that, when actually finding like something like exciting, like a quiche or something, like if you do get excited with that kind of stuff. Because when when your comic books can buy your comic books, it's no better feeling. You just can discover. You don't have no attachment of like you know, the
Totally.
money, and like I work like that. Suppose, I work so hard for it, now I'm gonna spend it, you know, like you think twice. But when you get it like that, you're like, oh shit, I can try whatever I feel like it, you know.
Yeah.
You just to put it in, especially if you have those great people, like you say, you know, you can go to the shop, your daughter can pick up stuff, you can pick up your stuff. How can it's the best way to reward your kids as well, you know, like, so
Totally.
yeah.
Well, and it's just
Fantastic.
such a good place to hang out. So he gave me, like, full disclosure, he gave me $160 worth of trade. I think I used about 147 of it. At the end, when he kind of added everything up and told me about it. He's like, well, I guess we could give you some of the comics back. I'm like, no, just take them all. Like, seriously, I don't want any of those books back. Like, because he's always been, the thing is, he's done really good by me over the years because I've been going there for so long. I know that there's been times where I've maybe got an extra book or two that was kind of over the trade amount. So it just was, I just really appreciate his store, and he's just such a good old dude that it's like, no, seriously, just take the books, And I think that's the other thing, the benefit that I'm in now after so many years. He knows that I'm coming back. He knows what kind of stuff I'm bringing in. And like I said, he'll pretty much take everything. I think there was a couple of books that he didn't take this time, but they were really, really beat up, like incredibly beat up. But normally he takes everything that I bring him. He doesn't say no to anything. He'll calculate it all and always gives incredible deals. So super nice guy.
Yeah, you're lucky having that kind of
Super
people.
Lucky.
Yeah. It's a rarity now. It's usually
otherwise.
Yeah, when you want to sell something to somebody, like you get like, how dare you even suggesting that kind of thing? It's like, well, but please, that's the comic books as well, kind of thing. Yeah. Very jealous. I want more to sell. I was like thinking, because eBay keep on offering like those small amount of fee thingies, and I was like, oh, should I look it up to what I want to sell? But sometimes, like, if I overly think about it, like, or not think enough, I sell something I don't want to, and then I end up thinking in my head I have it, but then you look it up and there's nothing in there. It's like, what happened? And then you like suddenly remember, oh, I sold that stuff. So I have to really think now, because I've been getting rid of quite a few things, but I'm really bad at cataloging, like using those or apps or whatever you have to catalog your collections. But I'm noticing lately that in my head, like when you go run around and look for, there used to be, like, of course I haven't done it for a while now, but when you go to comic books, just look for your things, whatever you're missing in your collection. You see the cover and you have it, but you don't, but you think you do. And you go home and you look like, oh, how dare I am not having like I thought I had. It's like that kind of feeling. So I have quite a few things lately, because I've slowly, very, very, very slowly, like a turtle, to be honest, in a rabbit race, I'm trying to catalog the stuff. And and I find that a lot of things are missing, and it's like I thought I had it, and actually, it's funny enough. So my app says I do have it, and that's what really drives me absolutely bonkers. It's like, how did I put it in and I don't have it anywhere? And I was like, you go frantic and start looking for it everywhere. And I'm really bad at cataloging the new stuff.
Yes.
Like you sometimes it's just like, oh, you read it, you put it away, and you forget about it. It's new stuff. It's nothing important. But then you start realizing, oh, I read it. Like, the Velvet. We were reading it, and then I looked for one issue and I can't find it now.
Oh no.
And I was like, what's happening? And apparently I put it somewhere like really far away in one of the boxes, like right wedged in almost at the back. And then by chance I took it out. Oh, I know why. Because I sold a couple of Spider-Man books. That's how I found them. That issue. I was like, why my mind was like, it's a Marvel. Like, like you have a Marvel box. I don't know how you catalog, but I have like Marvel, DC book and boxes and stuff like that. And it was there. So by any chance, like my brain fart, as I call it, like, I'm just going to put it to Velvet, some random issue in there. It's like stupid. So honestly, I went in black.
One of the best things I ever did, like, it was super time consuming, but doing these filing cards and just putting them in the front of the box, like just taking an old comic magazine, a comic bag, and taping it in there, and having those file cards, it makes such a huge difference. Even though, even with that system, though, there's always some flaws. I mean, because some of the stuff, like some of the stuff I have a million titles written on it, right? Because it's a bunch of different companies. But I mean, it's literally cataloged like everything that's in the box, right?
Yeah.
Just so I know where to look. But even with that, there's always going to be something that I miss. It's like, where the fuck did I put that book? You know? So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, the thing is, I tried kind of similarly to your system, to be honest. I was trying to copy you, but I guess I gave up like really less than halfway through, where I was just like, oh, I like, and those which has that information is perfect. I don't need to look at it. I know exactly what is inside. But the ones which I didn't think I'm gonna need to do it because I'm so lazy. I don't have a clue what's in boxes, to be honest, because I still don't know what's happening in it. So yeah, it's crazy.
I know that like I use the CLZ, and there's a lot of stuff in each of the categories where you can add your own information. That's a pretty good idea. Then you can almost just throw a number on the box, and then you can just put this box number 7 or whatever. You know what I mean? That's a pretty good idea too.
Exactly. So.
But then it also becomes a thing like if I have so many boxes that I don't know what the hell is in them, maybe it's time to start thinning it out. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I did a lot of things. I would remember when there used to be this Comic Mart used to be the thing because for me, I used to pick up so many random stuff because I like. Yeah. I'm erratic reader, so of course I'm gonna go buy some stuff. I'm gonna be erratic in that time as well. So I remember because of that 50p boxes, like you get tempted by just 50p. Used to be. I don't think it's gonna ever happen like that. But those 50p is like, oh yeah, look, it's just a 50p. I can, I add up like to the stack and I can just try something. And I remember I used to pick like some random really shit because it feel like, oh, the cover is nice. I'm gonna try like you sometimes do. Yep. But lots of things which I picked it up, I had like about maybe 5 boxes, to be honest, short boxes of that random stuff. And I basically, that whole things, I never touched it. I never read it. I never even looked at it after that. I got excited about it, some of them, of course. But then I thankfully, I sold to my comic book guy as well. So that's why I'm saying I got rid of quite a few things just because I've not touched it. I didn't read it. So why the hell do I have to have it? It takes so much space. It takes time and spend and attention as well. So I'm glad I did it. But now I have to even look further. But I have to be more consistent with cataloging. Because if you narrow it down, sometimes you just sell or you get rid of something you don't really want to get rid of. But then on your back of your head, you think it's fine. So
well, and kind of, at this point, because early on I felt like that, but now I find that when I get rid of these stuff, because I get rid of stuff so often that it doesn't even cross my mind anymore. Even today, when I was looking through the bins, I actually saw some books that I know for a fact were mine that I've traded in previously, right? And that's then, oh yeah, that's right, I did have that. And then I think about it and seeing it again, even just that revisiting it, like it's, it's like it's my weekend with the kids or something, like just seeing the book. It's like, oh, I had that one. And then I remember that I actually didn't like that story very much anyway, even though I have like a reaction like, oh, that's cool because of whatever reason. It's at this point, it doesn't really faze me as much anymore. Stuff comes in, stuff goes out, get the hell rid of it. But again, I think that's a huge part of, because I have that option. If I didn't have that option, I honestly don't know what I would do. I feel like I would get to a point where I would just get frustrated and literally just give stuff away to the Value Village or somewhere, you know what I mean? Or if there was nowhere even to give it away to, it would probably just end up in the garbage because there's just, I only have so much patience for the stuff, right? So I'm really glad that I have the outlet that I do. So, but I mean, it's just like the paperback books. Even growing up, my mom used to read a ton of books. And she had a couple of bookstores that she would go to and she would trade in. So she'd buy some books from them. And then once she had enough, she would just go and trade in a bunch and get new books, exactly the same thing. Keeps them in business and keeps you coming back, right? So.
Yeah, well, I like those kind of stuff. I think it's really great when you can just trade stuff in. Like in my country, it's very bad with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You buy it and to sell it off in Lithuania is so bad. It's like you can't. It's the same thing with a car. Like they still don't have that, I think. Or think they're trying to, but like reselling your games, for example, it's quite a big thing. Like if you're into gaming, you want to resell your, like, it gets you more cash, especially for kids. Like my nephew, he's into PC gaming quite a lot, but it's like he likes to do like trade with his friends, and he's like, I can't sell them. Like, you can't sell games in here. Like, you have a console, you buy it, that's it, is yours for the foreseeable future. You know, in this kind of, like in UK, you have like quite a few outlets who can does it, like dedicated for like games, especially, or movies and stuff like that. That's when I used to, like, me and my husband, like, goes look it up and see like some gaming, like PlayStation 4, Xbox and stuff like that. We always like take a stack, just get rid of and buy something new, like new game. And all new games these days is like, I don't know if you're aware, but they fucking pricey, like 50 quid, like for new game now. So it's a lot of money. It's just a fork out for game, to be honest. So you sell something old to get something for or cheaper or almost for free kind of thing. So it's like similar stuff. So there's one place in town here. What the hell is it called? I don't remember. It's basically, there's not that many of them. I think there's 2 or 3 in the whole city, and they're I think I want to say P2P, but I don't know if that's, anyway. It's a video game store, and they do a little bit of that. They do some. You can bring in stuff for trade. It's not that good of a system yet, though. It doesn't feel like it's at that level like a bookstore, but it feels like it's starting to come. And I wonder if that's going to be something that we'll see more of as kind of the years go on, right? But because there is a market out there for some of the old games, but like you're saying, it's not that easy. Once you have these games, because it's the same. We've tried even selling some stuff on Facebook for dirt cheap, and people just aren't buying it. They aren't buying your used games. Like, I've had a couple of games up there for shit, man, probably going on about a year at this point, and there's nobody that wants it, but I don't know what else to do with them. There's nowhere else to go with it, right? So well,
it just seems a shame to just pitch it or something, right? Like,
in here we have quite a few places like for that kind of stuff, like DVDs and stuff. Like there's this shop called CEX in UK where you can give anything, DVD, game systems, phones. They take all that stuff, so you can resell. Like, you have your old phone, for example, and then it's like, or recycle or get some money. You can actually get some money. Of course, it has to be in working order. They have all the technician to check it out. But you can sell your consoles. You can sell your games. You can basically sell your like Blu-rays, DVDs. Of course, you're not going to get much for it, especially the older stuff if it's nothing popular, let's say. But in here, you can actually basically. Even your telly or your PC or that kind of stuff, you can just go and give it, and they're gonna value, especially now, like because of the COVID, they can't do that business like this, but they even do that like you can actually drop it off to them. So you drop it, they give you the value after, of course, they check it out, technician checks, and then you get money. So it's nice because it's always the way for you to, your entertainment can be paid for if you, of course, willing to spend time to do that, and just like, give away, decide what you want to sell. And also their website tells you the value of what they're going to give it to you. And they give you 2 types of values. You can give you cash, which is going to be always lower value, or credit, because they want you to come back. So the money never leaves them, basically. They gain stuff from you, but the money never leaves, basically, because you get the credit, then you can accumulate your credit, then you can buy whatever you want after.
Yeah, and that's really good to hear, because we don't have things like especially for cell phones, we don't have, as far as I know anyway. I mean, maybe there is, but I've never heard of any place like that for that level of technology. You know what I mean? Like, that's a really fantastic thing, because all of that computer waste and phone waste and all of that, like, it's just it's crazy, man. That's really cool.
I like that because you can get all the, like you can sell. For example, I have some of the old phones I used to be having, and I'm actually thinking to get it to see. Actually, I need to switch on to see if it actually works, because if it does work, you get value. But if money's sitting inside it, like, it's good to know that, like, some money can be made whatever you want to sell it. So and you don't. I mean, you're never gonna get the value. You're not gonna get value of the like eBay selling, because of course you're doing it all yourself. But you're gonna get some sort of value. It gives you, like, it cuts out the middleman.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, then also at least it's gonna get recycled, and even if they take it apart and
No, they
cannibalize
sell
it
it.
for parts or whatever. Yeah, they sell it as is. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they resell it. They
Yeah.
refurbish, kind of like check it, like change maybe some parts or something like that. Depends what kind of, if there's a value to gain for them, I guess. But they
Yeah.
always resell it. You can always, like, there's a wall, like usually all
Wow.
the shelving wall kind of phones or like new tech kind of thing. So if you can't afford the new stuff, you can always buy the used stuff. So
Yeah.
so you can buy all, like, now it's all console stuff as well. So you can, like, there was the period of when they were reissuing those Nintendo games and stuff like that, consoles. They were having a boom of that because people were just like buying, oh, don't care about it, and then reselling it kind of thing, and then you can buy it again. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's great to have that kind of thing. It just makes it that, like, not rubbishing, like you say, so much rubbish, so much waste these days, but you can actually always recycle. You never know what other person likes it, to be honest. So maybe you don't care for it, like, for that thing, but there's also another person who completely wants it, like, even those games, the old school stuff,
Yeah, the other thing that kind of hit me today going back to Red River was like his place is really, it's chaotic. There's literally stacks of books on the floors, probably, kind of waist height and just all over the place. Even when I was flipping through the bins, there's stacks of books on top of the comics that I had to keep shifting around. And it just, I look at the space, I'm like, man, I would have a great time. Like, what you could do is you could do this. And I started thinking about, like, and so there's also a big part of me that I would love to have a place like that. You know what I mean? I would love it, like that idea of building shelving and organizing things and see, like, man, that would be such a good retirement. Just having some shop that's filled with, because I mean, he's got records, he's got movies, he's got VHS tapes, Blu-rays, DVDs, hardcover books, paperbacks, comics. He's got a small section with porn, because he has all those old porn magazines and stuff. So it's really any sort of book you can think of, you can find. He's got a book section. He's even sometimes got some toys there. It's just such a great place. I would love to, love to have a spot like that. Hello, Masked Panther. Holy smokes, it's been forever since we've seen you.
Wow.
During the pandemic, clearly there was no organization that was going on there. They just kind of wrote it out. It's like, you've been closed for like a year. You had some time. He just doesn't care. And that's also why I love it, because it really kind of helps with that adventure. Like, you really feel like you're digging through stuff. And when you find something that has that extra kind of, hunter mentality or whatever to it. So,
my comic book guy is almost the same. His shop, he has the tiniest shop. It used to be in kind of small place, but then he apparently upgraded it. But I went in, it's basically next door. It's almost a bit bigger, but to the amount of stuff he's acquires and the amount of stuff he still has, it's like, as I tell, I don't know if I've told you, but then when I used to go, like, or if I went once every blue moon anyway, so I asked him for a couple. Oh, do you have this, like, Avengers, let's say 6, like from new Marvel, whatever. Yeah, let me just. And he goes to this random corner. There's like stack of boxes there. He picks one out and then opens up and takes that exactly issues. Like, how do you bloody know? It's like a randomly stacked thing. It's like my own system. That's his way of saying I'm organized. It's my own system. I have it. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, Jesus, how? And there's boxes everywhere. There's this, because he does even some of the stuff. He has like statues, like those minimal, not the biggest. Those, I'm not talking about a huge statue, but he has those collectible statues. Let's say this way, and he has loads of them as well. Like, there's this wall. It's like, what do you do? And the boxes for those, but those takes boxes. Like, when you sell it, it comes in nice, neat box, but then you have to keep those boxes. Where do you put them? And you have tiny little space, and then there was one time so bad. I don't know what happened in that moment when I was what he was doing. I think he was shifting. That's the thing in the shop. So you couldn't you had to like squeeze, like almost like, let me just pass quickly just through the thing. I don't want to drop anything. You're like freak out because something's gonna drop, and it's like, how do you do this stuff? I used to be like, oh, I want to organize. I used to go to him and tell him, can I help you to organize? He's like, no. But please, I just want to just go rummage, to just go in and just check it out. Nope.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can help you. Nope. He has his own system.
Yeah, Dennis had a couple of guys like that at times. Like he's got his kids working there as well too. But he had a couple people that he hired that were kind of reorganizing. But I haven't seen those people for a long time. I think eventually they all just gave up because, like, dude, this is madness. You know, we can't do this. I kept this one up because I'm assuming then you're in New York. There, Architectural Foam, the Koch Warehouse. Like, if I went to New York, that's the place I want to go to. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube, and I see Shauna saying the same, or Scott, sorry, is saying the same thing here. It looks incredible. I don't know. Tony Why Not Art has talked about it because he's been there. It looks amazing in that place. That would be a real fantastic place to just hang out for hours.
Isn't it like you have to call before you enter? Like you have to actually make an appointment before you actually go?
That could be. Yeah, that could be.
Do you want to see my mess? Call me before I go and open the door for you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks like fun. A couple other things I read this week.
Okay. Oh, adventure comics again.
Yeah.
Oh, Spectre.
Oh, there we go. Yes. So this, like, obviously it was a fantastic read. So again, I think it was a bunch of these that were reprinted in the Wrath of Spectre, that reprint series. The thing that was funny about this one, so on the front cover, we've got the Spectre getting on the guy with a woman tied to a chair. You open the front cover and you get, it's actually Spectre and a guy tied to a chair. And it's Clark Kent, actually. It's Clark Kent that makes an appearance in here. And then when you get to the part in the story, here we go. When you get to the part in the story, it's Clark Kent, but he never gets tied to a chair. None of that ever happens. So I thought that was really funny, like the woman in distress to the guy in distress to the actual story where it's like none of that actually happened. It's incredibly far away from here, but it's still a really, really good story. And kind of the way that he kills this guy as he turns him into wood and puts him into one of the saws. So he gets sawn up. And then Clark Kent is so traumatized by it. But first I think I need a good stiff drink, and it's weird. And it's like, am I missing something here? Because there is a reference somebody says to him, when he sees a cop outside, a cop says to him, Clark Kent, aren't you Superman, or something like that. So it's clear that I have no idea what's happening in this kind of time period with this stuff. But man, was this was a fun read, just super violent. What was the other good one was this here, and I posted a photo of it on Twitter. He turns one of the villains into a little kind of miniature toy, and then puts an axe in its head, kind of thing. So kills one of the villains that way. But a badass cover, and this inside cover is just incredible.
So who's the artist?
Or the splash page, sorry.
Does it say? Does it say?
Jim Aparo.
Sure. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there we go. Focused there.
Okay. Yeah.
Great story, man. Really, really great. So this was from one of the Comic Addict guys. So $1. This guy had a dollar sale going on one of the Facebook groups. So so good. I'm getting close to finishing these ones off.
Remind me of a Spectre's power. Is it magical being? What I'm blanking now.
He's a spirit, basically. So Jim Corrigan is kind of his host. And then Spectre is a spirit, killed by some gangsters, put into a barrel and dumped in the river, basically. So now he's the god of vengeance, basically, and he goes and he just dispatches these villains like in these horrific ways, especially in this early stuff. Somebody had mentioned on Twitter that they were always surprised that they got away with this, with the comic code stamp on the front, right? Because some of the stuff that it does is pretty, it's not necessarily graphic, but the idea of it, like turning him into wood and getting him chopped into pieces, like it's pretty extreme, right? So
very sinister.
Yeah, it was a super fun read. And I don't know if I don't know if G showed up today. But G, Mind the Comics, has been talking about this one when I first showed it off.
Uh-huh.
Jazz Age Chronicles, which I also was looking for in the shop because I'm missing issues. And then there was also an earlier series as well. Unfortunately, he didn't have any of those. He had these first couple issues.
Yeah.
The first issue was it was interesting. It was like a gumshoe. He's like a detective, and he gets hired to kind of dig into a murder, and he starts uncovering these politicians that are maybe tied to it and some blackmail that's going on. And this gumshoe detective is a real prick. Some of the stuff that goes on in it, just his attitude when he's talking to people. It's set in 1920. I want to say like 1926 or something like that. There's reference to, especially in the second issue. This first one was fun. It kind of set things up. I did feel like I was lost a little bit though, because I felt like there was some references to the first series that I didn't understand. It spells it out a little better in the second one. So they refer to a strike, a police strike in Boston in 1919, which is really interesting because we had a Winnipeg. There was a strike here in Winnipeg in 1919. We just celebrated the 100 years. There's a whole bunch of stuff around the city that was going on. And it was kind of, the strike in Winnipeg was seen as one of the first, if not the first, that kicked off a lot of strikes across the country. Like they were turning over, at the time we had streetcars, and there's famous photos of people flipping those streetcars, and there was some violence as well too. But I guess in Boston, a similar kind of thing, except the cops went a bit rogue and were beating the shit out of people, and I think there was some deaths. I'm not super familiar with that history. I haven't dug into it yet, but with the second issue, it absolutely picked up to something that I really, again, like another one of those. I think this is going to be a gem from from this time, and it makes me want to look again into Caliber Comics and dig into some of their stuff. Then there's the credits there.
Oh, it's a bit choppy.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Ted Slampiak, 1989. And I think the first series was 1987. There was another company that it was associated with, but I don't remember. But one of the things that I think G had pointed out with this one was Mind the Comics is always talking about being accurate, especially when it comes to one of his things is pipe smoking, he said. And then it's styles of clothing and things, like he wants to see that accuracy. And it feels like this is a book where they did quite a bit of research on styles of clothing and making sure that they were representing people and how they dressed at that time. But actually a really good second issue, and it really starts to hit the fan in this one. And then we'll see, like, this first one is a two-parter, but it's going to tie into the rest of them. But yeah, a pretty damn good read, actually. And again, one of those, when Damien did their chat late last night, they were talking about kind of the price of new comics and just digging into those old bins. Again, these were like $1 or $2 when I found the first 5. So it's, you can kind of find cheaper books to just give a shot to out there if you're one of the lucky people that has a shop. Obviously, I know that's not the case for everybody, but hopefully when conventions come back, digging in those 50-cent or $1 boxes, you know what I mean, can kind of pay off if you kind of take a shot. So I would highlight that one for sure for anybody who's interested. If you see this, give it a shot, even the first 2 issues, because you'll get a kind of contained chapter of the story. If you can find the earlier stuff. I wish I could remember the company that it came out, but find the first volume. And then just kind of finally the one that I read last night that
I saw your video. You're talking about it. Yeah.
So good. Like this free comic book day. Did I talk about it in a video too? This was such a good issue. This one.
You weren't talking about it. I think you just showed some of the panels and you saying how happy you are to see it in that comic book format.
Yeah. So the first story, she talks about kind of, getting malaria and becoming paralyzed and teaching herself to draw again and teaching herself how to walk. And then she even puts, this is the first piece of art that she did. She basically taped a quill pen to her hand and her daughter helped her draw. And this is the first piece that she drew when she was kind of rehabilitating herself.
Mhm.
Man, such an amazing story. And then we get a bonus kind of chapter of our main characters from the actual book itself. Her
Mhm.
brother is an artist, and kind of the catch in this one is that he gets himself
Wow, wow, wow.
he starts getting some of his work published. So this
Mhm.
is in the comic. This is his. There's a comic, Ghastly. So he gets
Mhm.
to do the cover and some of the interior art, and he takes his sister to the newsstand so they can see it because she's a big fan of the horror comics. And he says, "I have an extra surprise for you." But as they're going in their neighborhood, they have a bunch of prostitutes that are there, and there's some problems that are going on. So he kind of helps out. He's kind of
Mhm.
seen as this guy in the neighborhood that will help people out. He's had a bit of a checkered past himself, right? So
Mhm.
he comes into contact with this kind of religious group
Mhm.
that are they're faking being a religious group. He's sort of a pimp, and he's pimping out, turning these girls out in the neighborhood. So it's just the layers of shit that goes on in this book.
Wow.
So when they go and finally, um, one of his friends is getting roughed up by a cop, so he goes and interjects and has a conversation with the cop.
Mhm.
Um, they finally make it to the newsstand, and he shows her the issue and is like, "Hey, look at this. Well, this is horrible art, and who the hell does this guy think he is?" And then the buddy that's with them says,
Mhm.
"It's amazing that when he was a kid, I guess he created a character himself called the Lurch. So he
Okay.
thought it was so great that he found a way to put in his own character in the cover
Mhm.
that he did on this kind of horror book. And if you
Yeah.
look, you can see the lurch is right there, basically incorporated into it. It was just
Mhm.
such a nice touch.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
there you go. Yes.
like, man,
That's
and again, like I read this and it makes me love her all over again. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Where I just want more of this stuff. And then she also
Mhm.
had a story that was in, I think, like a kid's magazine, and it was how to draw a monster. And she talks about a story of her that her grandpa used to tell her. If there was things that were scary, you could draw yourself monsters, draw yourself kind of protectors. So
Mhm.
when she was growing up, she would draw these scary monsters to help her get over her
Mhm.
fear of the dark and that sort of thing. So then she has tips for kids on how to draw different kind of eyes to get different emotions.
Mhm.
Here's a bunch of different mouths. Here's some monster shapes, and then gives you a blank spot where you can draw your own protector monster. And
Mhm.
she kind of has some
You really can
words
use
of
your
advice.
imagination.
Imagine drawing amazing things because you really can use your imagination to make the world a better place. And it's like, dude, you are such an incredible woman. She's just such an amazing woman.
Mm.
Highly recommended to watch the interview on Van Sciver's channel. So she's
Mhm.
only done this one, Clark Kent Jeans, Mr. DaCosta. This was the free comic book day one, and then there was a volume one, the collected edition from Fantagraphics. Both
Mhm.
highly recommended. And apparently, the second volume is coming out this year. It was supposed to come out
Also.
last year, but it hasn't.
Mhm.
Um, she's been talking on Twitter a little bit when she kind of talks a little more personally that she's just been having some problems with motivation. And I don't know this for a fact, but she
Yeah.
may kind of suffer from like depression and things. It feels
Mm.
like she's having some challenges, just kind of getting herself over that hump of finally finishing it. And I think part of that is because I think she's alluded to feeling quite a bit of pressure because her first book was so well received.
Yeah.
Um, that I think there's some pressure going on there. But I personally don't think she has anything to worry about because she seems to have this natural ability, talking about the just kind of putting these stories together. She used to do like toy design, and she did it. That's where her art originally was used. And
Wow.
she talks about that a little bit in this first story. That's where a lot of her art kind of practice came from. So
Mhm.
super good, man. Like really, really good.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's if you can find this out there. It was 2019 that it was a free comic book day thing. I
Mhm.
don't know how easy those are to find for people. They're not easy for me to find. Like once those are gone, they're gone. Even though I know that there's some stores that have some overstock of it, I never
Mhm.
see them again anywhere out there. So maybe other cities are different with that stuff. But
I should check. I want to
are
check
you gonna
now.
tell me?
Wow.
Are you gonna tell
Yeah.
me now there's like $100 book on eBay? Is that what you're looking up?
No. I want to actually check to see if the first book of hers.
Yeah.
And I can't. What is it called again? Maybe I'm not typing it right.
My favorite thing is monsters.
Yeah.
And remember that she's an American, so favorite is Favorite. There's no U in it.
Oh yeah, is that American only? We don't. Okay.
Yeah, we would put a U in there. Yeah.
They're even saying, oh, it's. Whoa! Somebody's saying it's already out of stock. In the second volume.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I was digging for it, I got a bunch of mixed messages about it, but
yeah,
it's not out because I looked on Fantagraphics to see they don't have it listed. They don't even talk about it. So again, I have a feeling, and this isn't based on anything. This is just my impression. I have a feeling that she's a bit having some challenges with finishing the second volume, and I have a feeling that maybe she's struggling with a few things personally. But again, I don't know that for a fact whatsoever.
But it looks at the first volume is fine to defined, not so bad the pricing either. But yeah, it's been advertised everywhere. The second volume, and it's really beautiful cover. Did you see?
Yeah, I think I did see it at one point. Oh, mind the comics. You're here. Oh yeah, look at that. Hold on, I'm gonna make it big. Let me take this down. Let me do this. There we go. Yeah, and that's the lead character, the main character, basically the little girl. She she's obviously not really a monster. That's how she imagines herself, But dude, seriously, highly recommended. It's a really, really good story. Just her ability to put in all these kind of storytelling elements, I think, is exceptional because there's so many stories that are going on in that first volume, but it's really easy to read. Oh, the other thing that she talks about in this one is she had a chance to meet one of her heroes, Art Spiegelman, because she was a big fan of Maus, and she was just a really big fan of his. And apparently, like, she kind of has a drawing of him in there, and he kind of gives her a huge compliment of, like, you've introduced a completely new storytelling method into comics. You know what I mean? Like, just this high praise for her book. And she says that after that, she just was like, I got to go. I got to get out of here. I can't believe my hero has he knows my work and that sort of thing, right? So there's definitely a part of her personality. So that was really cool. Just a really cool story.
There's lots of praising.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said this. I think lots of people, like I myself as well, when they came out, it's too much praising happening. Sometimes it does work. Sometimes it really doesn't work. Especially, I think for me as a probably comic book reader, when I see somewhere like New Yorker or something praises the book, I was like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just two of the people who basically it feels like you shouldn't, like, we don't read comic books, to be honest, in that kind of sense. But just me. I actually should. Do you have sorry? I'm interrupting you all.
Yeah. Oh no, it's totally fine. Go ahead.
Do you have a hardcover or a soft cover?
I have the soft cover. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's the thing I'm trying not to do, even though I end up doing it. I was trying not to rave about it when I first talked about it, but it was really difficult because it really had that effect on me. Like, it really had that, holy shit, this is fucking incredible. So it's hard not to have that come through in a video because I did want to talk about it, but it's really difficult because there's so many things to talk about in it that she does so well that I think it's one of those, it's a very unique story. I can't say that I can point to something else that's like it. It's really its own thing and fits. I think it fits really nicely into comics, but it does also fit into that other market of like books and that kind of world. So I think that's also why it got so much praise, because it had so much more exposure than just comic book people. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I guess if I should
just for G, we ended up talking about these. I want to rewind and see those later on. I had a couple of words for you about that one.
Sorry, but maybe I'm ignorant or so jazz ages means just the era of the time we're talking about, or actually mentioning jazz?
I mean, they might, maybe they did. I don't. I'm missing the reference to it right now. I'm thinking that it's something that happens in the first volume, but like I said, sometimes when I pick these up, I know absolutely nothing about it. So I didn't know until recently that there was a first volume. I thought that this might be the first volume, but it turns out it's not. So I'm guessing that it's a reference to something that happens in the first one. But yeah, I mean, it's in that time period for sure.
Okay. I get sometimes when they overly.
It was. Sorry, go ahead.
Sometimes I feel like they overly clever when they put the title in, and then you're kind of expecting it because you know, like you don't think too much. Like like you see the title, you're like, okay, but then, as I say, it sometimes becomes not. I'm not saying it's confusing, but you're expecting that, even though I know that's why I asked you, because if that has the period of time or is actually we're talking about music, because you can interpret in both ways. I mean, you can talk about actual music, and it would be interesting if we put that type of thing and criminal part, because I think I would like that, because it has that more feel of noir and stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, and the other thing that I thought about it was that I thought that they were kind of, not quite X-Files, but they were more of that kind of, they were more a group that was, because I mean, when they go at the beginning of the first book, they talk about each of the characters and they're talking about vampires and all of this stuff. So I thought it was going to be more of a metaphysical, like we're kind of ghost hunters to some degree. And then having what turns into this political drama with, it's just like, what the hell am I reading? You know what I mean? So I think that was also my confusion with reading these first two issues, that it really took that second issue to really solidify things. But I have a feeling reading the next issue, it might go off some other way, because I know that some of the other characters they're going to introduce even more so in the next issues. So I don't really know where it's going to go. So it feels like there's a few things almost working against it. But I mean, maybe that works in the long run. We'll see, right? But if you have all of these desperate elements, I wonder how they're going to bring it all to something. But yeah.
It sounds a little bit sporadic, like crazy of writing, like trying to put maybe cleverly to put in the time of the era, and then afterwards they go into different things. It's like too much information sometimes, especially if it's number one issue, like you say, you're reading and you get confused on what kind of time or what kind of subject they're gonna go into, that kind of thing. So Chaos, that's a really good thing. We need to basically another screen in the middle, right? Just for the cardboard to be sitting next to us.
Yeah.
Imagine Adam watching the video. It's like, what? I wasn't there.
I'll do a cardboard version and put him just peeking over my shoulder.
Yeah, it's like a best friend. Like, good lad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones that I read. Kind of, the other ones I've talked about on the previous video. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else. Oh, the only other thing that I got in the mail, I haven't started in on it yet, was this Black #1. So I mean, the kayfabe guys were talking about covering this at some point. And I know that the kayfabe effect is real to some degree. People just all of a sudden hunt for this stuff after they talk about something, and then it's impossible to find, or it kind of goes up in price. This series is already kind of pricey to begin with. But I did find this #1 issue, and it's great. I've flipped through it and I've read the introduction. The thing that's interesting to me about it is I think I talked about just the underground artists talking about EC Comics, right? So I think that it's going to be a hell of a read. Yeah, maybe I did talk about it in the video. Oh, check that out. See, there you go. Howard Cruz doing his monsters, his zombies. But even digging further, and I posted it on the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats. There's fans of it out there, but it seems like it's one of those series that it's hard to get all of the issues. So I don't know. I'm assuming that means that there was lower print runs on this stuff. But yeah, it's really great though. I'm looking forward to.
Is it the whole book like that? It's like prose more than the comic?
Yeah. Okay. So later issues, it changes in later issues, but this one and a couple of the issues later on too, they talk about, it's basically underground cartoonists in this one talking about the influence that EC Comics had on them to make comics. And with all the underground stuff like Skull and Slow Death and things like that, it's clear that these guys were a huge influence on these underground cartoonists. But as the series kind of goes on, it becomes, there's more comic strips. other ones are out of reach on the shelf. I only own 2 other issues of it. And then even later on in the series, the whole format changes to a much bigger format where it's almost a spotlight on specific artists, where they do a lot of the kayfabe effects is ridiculous. Yeah, I saw your comment there. I haven't responded to it, but it is. I mean, but it is a reality, right? Like when you're doing these YouTube, if you have a popular channel, there are going to be people that are going to jump on some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, good stuff. So later issues, the format changes to even bigger, and it really almost kind of goes towards what the hell was that magazine? High Fructose kind of magazine. Oh, hey, here you go. 15 and 16, Jared Osborne, 15 and 16. So were they the small digest at that point there, Jared, or are they bigger format? Because I know at some point it does change from this in size, in kind of content and everything. So
I love that though, the colors they chose, like a kinder book, like a kid's book. And it's like, oh, look at this. And we're talking about actually naughty stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, kids, look, color. Go, oh, shit. No, that's not for kids. Sorry.
Totally.
Yeah, it's great. I really like the cover.
Yeah, so do I. I love the cover. And I think this is going to be... It'll just be fun to flip through, because some people, they only have like a page or a half a page of text.
Yeah.
And some of the artists, especially flipping to artists that I know, like I said, there's a Richard Corbin thing in here, Bill Griffith, Charles Dallas, et cetera, Kim Deitch. So yeah, just a really cool, a cool little book. I'm glad that I managed to get it. But like I said, even looking online on eBay and stuff, it's, man, there's some of them, that like $50, $60, $70 just for one of them. It's crazy.
Jeez.
So yeah.
Or just because of kayfabe just mentioned that, or?
No, I think it's because the series itself, this is before they've done a video at this point. I think it's just because there was low print runs. I just don't think it was something that they produced a lot of them, and it's something that's sought after.
Well, there you go.
So 10 by 10 inches is what he's saying. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. And look, like quite a few you have. So it is popular.
Number 6, digest with a mix of prose and comics. Yeah. Okay, that might be the one that I have. I think I have number 3. It's over there. Because, one of them, and it seems like each issue there's a different focus. Like this one is EC Comics. I've got one that's, alcoholism. There's one that deals more with like a cult, I think, too, and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's it that I have. That's pretty much everything. Oh, and since Jared is here, I haven't started in on them yet. But I found the last Night Streets, so I'm excited to read those last issues. We'll see how easy that is to digest, because those first 2 were challenging at points because of the amount of prose in it, but still good enough to pick up.
Weren't you skipping? Like you said, that was this comic that you said you were like looking at the art more than the.
No, that might have been another one, but it felt like at a point, maybe it was this one too. I mean, sometimes with some of these, you kind of just get the gist of it. But I mean, I was reading most of it. There was some pages though that were really, really dense text-wise. Like especially the ones that took place in the police department itself, or in the police precinct as well. Really, really dense. Like, holy shit, there's not enough room for art in those panels.
Sometimes people overlay like so much information. I have to squeeze it in. So where's your editor, dude? Where's your editor?
Totally. And that's exactly right. Like, where is the editor? Who is allowing you to go crazy with this stuff?
Yeah.
Did you have anything else before? I'm just about to kind of launch into something else. I want to make sure that, I'm not dominating. I feel like I'm dominating.
Honestly, as I said to you, I had a week and a half to deal with stuff. So I was not reading that much. So I'm done. Like whatever I showed you before, it was whatever I managed to squeeze in that time. I can't even. By the way, I'm that tired. I can't even read at night before sleep. Well, I tend
Yeah.
to, but it's like two digital pages, and I'm gone. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like you were
Oh,
saying,
look at
it's
you.
a challenge.
Mhm.
Well, that's good to know, Jared. Then that means I'll make sure that I get on them so I can
You can
pick your
have a
brain and hear what
yeah.
your thoughts are on it. It's always
Mhm.
good to read some of these things if somebody else is reading too, to get another
Yeah.
perspective on them.
That's much more exciting.
Yeah.
Even the shittiest thing you can read, but if you share the shittiest thing, it's like, okay, so it was
Yeah.
shit. Oh yes, it was.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Another perspective on how shit it was. But no, I think like the first 2 issues were fun. I think the only thing that I was saying in that previous video, I wish that there wasn't a cat character. I wish there wasn't
Yes, I think I remember.
as like a gang boss. You know what I mean? That's the one complaint that I would have from those first ones.
Like
Yeah.
Gore will say, "It's like a saga." It's with
Yeah.
cats.
There you go, Paul. You might have tapped into something. How about a new Night Street series? Night Streets, the heat is on.
Yeah.
So I guess the other thing that I picked up this weekend, which I, didn't talk about yet, the Doug Salipa's Comic World here in Manitoba. I can order from him online, and then he drops it off. They've got a booth at the flea market that's like a 2-minute drive from the house. So a couple of the things that I picked up from him, I haven't read them yet though. There was this 3-issue twist. Let's see if I can do this again. There we go. 3-issue kind of anthology twist, which was kind of a 90s independent thing. So Klaus, Friedman, Holzer, Kidgen, Pete Bagg is in here. The Klaus strip in the first issue was fantastic. And then issue number 3 that also has a reprint of a Harvey Kurtzman comic. And then Richard Crumb is in here. Richard Sala, of course. Richard Sala is all over these 90s independent anthologies. He's everywhere. So I haven't been to those, but I'm glad that I picked up those 2 issues. It was only the 3 issues total, but super fun. And then the one that kind of blew me away. So I have this issue of Power Comics, issue number 3, and it's Night Witch that I think I talked about before. He had 3 of the other issues, and they are fucking incredible looking. I haven't read them yet.
Jesus,
amazing
that's crazy.
looking. So with
Who's
this
that?
wraparound, I'll show you in one sec. So it's from 1977, 68 pages full. Where do we have some names here? Yeah, 1977.
Seriously.
They don't have the cover artist here listed, but here's the listing of who's in it, including A Boy is Aardvark by Mr. Dave Sim, Cerebus doing in the back here, T. Casey Brennan. So it's this is amazing, and I actually liked I liked the Night Witch book itself. The story that I have, it was actually pretty great.
Look at those babes, huh?
Yeah, no, it's true, man. But some really good art too. Like it's this kind of, again, it's this bridging of underground and mainstream, right? So here's the Dave Sim penciled A Boy and His Aardvark, and I from doing a little bit of reading, so I guess Cerebus was also 1977, late 1977. So around the time that he was starting Cerebus as well too. Oh, did you find any Clark Kent jeans? I never know what to call people anymore. So many different.
Well, they keep on changing their names, man. It's confusing.
Yeah. So there you go. There's some. It has that vibe of that kind of psychedelic 70s stuff, but also has kind of like, what they might have tried in like a Doctor Strange comic as well too. You know what I mean? Like some of that type of art with from some of those guys. Beautiful stuff.
So, this comic would probably freak you out when you would be on acid, man, or you will love it. All those babes and going on.
Yeah. And
although I've never tried acid, I've just heard. Okay, I'm
okay. Yeah, I've tried it.
I haven't.
Probably too many times.
I was never brave enough. I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
Even though people surrounded me like, just surround yourself with nice people, you'll be fine. Nope, I'm not trust myself either. So what the
Yeah.
hell I'm gonna do? You know?
I think I might have done it one too many times, to be honest, because
Oh,
nothing is worse than having a bad acid trip. And I had 2 of those in my life, and it was
oh, is it?
fucking horrific because then it lasts for like hours. You know what I mean? So it's not like, you're back to normal in a half an hour. It's like, and all that shit
What?
about orange juice or vitamin C, fuck that. Didn't do anything for me. It was horrific. So I
One
stopped after that.
one of our friends, the manager just you say acid, he goes like freaks out because he had really bad trip. He said
Yeah.
he can't do mushrooms word. You can't say mushroom in front of him and acid.
Yeah.
And if you do combine those two together, he freaks out and leaves the house basically.
Yeah.
So you have a drinking party. You mention those 2 words. He fucks off. He gets really pissed off with everybody and just goes away.
That's
Anyway,
crazy.
okay.
Yeah, no, it can
Mm.
have that effect. The thing that's the other thing that's interesting
Ooh.
about this is in the middle of the issues, the National Comic
Yeah.
Book Retailer Directory from March 1977. So you get a few pages. It's all American-based retailers, but you get a few pages with kind of ads for some of the retailers that were around, and then you get some kind of pin-up art and stuff too.
Batman, Spider-Man. It's so
love
weird.
seeing. Sorry, say that again.
It's
Did
the
I miss something?
Batman, Spider-Man. Yeah, the Spider-Man and Hulk was there. That's the Batman there, Libby's comic book shop. But then the place before there was Spider-Man and Hulk, isn't it?
I think. Oh yeah, yes, there was. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And Captain America.
And Captain America. Yeah. Look at the Hulk. Hulk looks not big enough there. It's like buff him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's closer to us, but yet he's pretty tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this kind of stuff, I love this stuff from the old, even from the undergrounds and stuff too. I love getting these inserts or these extra kind of full page ads. It almost feels very, very fanzine style as well too, right? Like, except these aren't just a guy with a hand typed list. This is an actual comic book store, right? So
look, the Eye of Agamotto. That's good Doctor Strange reference.
Yeah, that's right. And then issue number 2, I got issue number 2 with I think the character's Cobalt Blue. On this one, I think there's also a Night Witch in here too. And then I believe this Cobalt Blue, I think, had his own couple of issues as well. I think outside of, or maybe it was issue number 5 that was the Cobalt Blue issue. I don't remember now because there's one issue that I'm still missing, number 5. And this one, it really feels like more fanzine because it's kind of the newsprint cover. This one is a little more glossier cover, but this one really feels like a fanzine, But the same thing, then all of a sudden you get these kind of crisp white pages on the interior where, again, you get some letters from readers, and you also get more ads for comic shops and stuff. Like, just super cool time capsule, right? So
Yeah.
So these look like a lot of fun.
So you don't need time capsules for comic books. You just go buy your older comic book and you'll set your time capsule.
Totally, yeah. And then the last one, I'll just show you here, the final issue that I have. Power Comics starring the Northern Light.
Whoa.
So number 4. So super, again, great. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh no, it wasn't Cobalt Blue in the next one. So the next issue had this Bluebird. I think that's the cover of issue number 5 there on the back cover, just giving you that preview.
Wow, that's a good whack, man.
Yeah. They're great. They're really, really great stuff.
Well, that's who's the artist on that one? The Bluebird? You should be telling me first, isn't
it? You would think so, yes. Let's see if there's anything at the beginning.
Sorry. I presume.
No, here we go. So some of them they do show you, but some of them they're just not the best. Yeah, that's never going to focus. So for Northern Light, the writer editor James Whaley, Waley, and then the artist is James Craig, and then lettering by someone just named Payne, Payne. I thought it was Canadian on some of the websites. I think on My Comic Shop, it said that it was Canadian. DaCosta, but it inside it's Lansing, Michigan, is the Power Comics company. From what I understand, it's the same Power Comics that did the records, that Power Comics, just their actual comic.
Oh.
But I mean, again, like some really great art in here, you know. It's
Mhm.
just a little off. It's it's that kind of style where they could do superhero comics, but they're
Mhm.
just a little off. But I mean, check out, you know, that shit
Yeah.
is right there, man. It's pretty damn close.
Mhm. Just
I think I'm just missing some. Oh, hey, Damien, hello.
he's back.
Is that showing up on the screen? What am I doing here? Oh, there it is. I think I once had a Cobalt comic. Cobalt Blue was a flip book with early Justice Machine in the early 1980s. And then Jared saying Justice Machine was the very first indie book I subscribed to when my first LCS opened up in 1981. Amazing. And then Northern Light, is that the character that Alan Moore really dug back in the day? Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a good question. So yeah, my comic shop has this listed that apparently this is Canadian, but that's not what I'm seeing when I look inside the covers, and there's sort of their Galactus being there.
Yeah, looks like
Just great stuff, man. You know, this is
look at that pose.
I
Like,
love this kind of stuff because it really feels like just comic fans making their own thing, right? Like it's so much fun flipping through this stuff. And again, this one has that kind of newsprint cover as well too, so it feels like a fanzine.
Yeah.
And then with these first two issues, they're just a little bit bigger than a regular comic. So there's just a regular comic bag, and it's exactly the same height, you know, so a little bit oversized. But for a first issue, having 68 pages is really, man, you're confident. You're confident here in what you're putting out. You're going all out there.
But the first issue cover is fantastic. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I love it.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's almost one of those trying to find a second issue just to take that off and make as a poster on the wall, right? Like, so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just kind of, you know, not printed all the way, but still looks great.
I was thinking this is part of design, is like looking to see.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's just a white band all the way around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going to read a comic and then checking if you're still on. Well, I mean, like I said, you know, we're known for our 2 and 3 hour chats when we get into it. But yeah. But that literally, that is it now. That is all that I have to kind of show you. But I'd forgotten about those. And again, you know, I'm glad that Doug Salipa is still around. I'm glad that Comic World is still around. Used to be known as Styx Comics, pardon me. And it's great to have access. The only thing with Doug is he doesn't have anything priced on his website. I understand that. He's got a huge catalog. That's difficult. So I sent him an email with all the titles that I want. And I sent him a really big email with quite a lot of titles. Some of the prices were fucking, you know, I love Doug. I love Comic World. Some of the prices were fucking batshit crazy, you know, like the amount, because I was looking for the other issues of that. I think it was Tales into Darkness. I have 2 issues. I'm just missing 2 issues in it. He wanted like $10 a piece for each of those. And I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I found these in the dollar bin. There's no fucking way I'm paying $10 each. I'm paying $20 for 2 issues just to get a complete story. I will wait, and I'm sure I'll find them at some point. So I think he's can be one of those characters in the comic world that we all know, that just think that everything is 9.8 and it's worth exactly what the book says it's worth, you know, no kind of grasp on what the reality is. So yeah.
Cool. But it's crazy, yeah. If you charge that much and you pay for, that's the thing, I never could do it either. You know, like when you put it in that run of things and you find really cheap ones, and then suddenly you have to, like, you find some and then they're like over completely priced, and you're like, how? I mean, it doesn't make sense. If I pay 50p, I want to pay 50p for that one. You know, the rest of it. What the fuck? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I mean, from what I know, looking into it, it's not like anything major happened in it. I mean, maybe they were lower print runs, but still, like, dude, I guess, you know, it's always if you want to sell the books, let me know when you actually want to sell them, because There's
For
no
cheap.
way I'm paying $10 a pop. It's just not going to happen. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll give you $2. How about that? $2 for both of them. Yeah.
From 20 to 2. That's like bloody drive.
Yeah. Yeah, but
It's
I
like
mean, that's more realistic, right? It's,
Yeah, but it's like 98% drop for him to just to give it to you, like almost for free. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
But I mean, I wonder, I guess, what the thought process is behind that, and I think we've talked about it before. If you have all this stock, because he's got an enormous stock. If you look at that website, it's unbelievable the stuff he has in his warehouse. I guess I just don't understand. It's not like it just came out. We're talking about a book that came out in whatever it was, 1989, 1990, 91, whatever the year was. You can't possibly be losing money on it at this point. Like, you've got to, do you want to move the books or do you want to just wait? But I guess with the collectors, like we've talked about the cards, you never know what's going to spike. Maybe there's part of that mentality to it as well, too. This whole, it was worth something at one point. I'm not ever going to admit that it's not worth anything, so I'm going to keep it at that price, right? So.
Yeah, but with trading cards as well, it's like so crazy. I mean, of course, there's always a market. Like we got into some of the trading cards and then imagining something that would go, like you would be proper happy about that stuff. But
yeah, it's
just things going and rolling and stuff like that. You don't notice it, and things like just comes out. Oh yeah, like you like the Invincible, that of the ones I read from Kirkman, they just came out with a trailer of the TV series, the cartoon TV series we're gonna do, and apparently then it's number one book, just like you went into like stratosphere, like the comic, the almost they saying if it's this. They already predicting, there's some speculators, of course, doing that, but they almost predicting that if this Invincible will be because it's very graphic, apparently, like true to the comic book. So they're saying if that will be as popular as Walking Dead, they're saying this is going to be like, you won't be able to find those Invincibles again. It's like,
jeez Louise.
Yeah, because they, like he has the guy has a good track record with that Walking Dead, especially. That's your, like on your CV is just Walking Dead everywhere, like.
Yeah.
But the cartoon, it's really good series to read for sure. And I'm wondering, it looks like it's very similar, even the art style, like to the comic book. But if they're gonna go that gore way, I think a lot of people will enjoy it because they will push them to read the comic book. Because I wanted to read because it reminded me because it came out maybe, but I always wanted to read it because I was curious to see how the superhero type that story ran for that long and how the story went, and it did. As I say, I was thoroughly enjoying it, like proper. There was like I mentioned prior, it was some dips because it's Kirkman's writing anyway. You expect that, but in generally the whole and the artist who actually made the Ryan Otley, who's the artist, he is getting back to being again noticed again, because it was kind of quiet for him, I presume so. But now mentioning that he was there placid all over the place, and the guy drew almost to the end. No, he did drew until the end. So hopefully the artist himself will get some more money coming out, I imagine the pages would be popular again. So if he was drawing digitally, I don't know, but if he drew not traditionally, I think he did. He's drawing traditionally, so that will be going absolutely bonkers for it. So
yeah,
I hope it's gonna go well.
Did you say it's a full trailer that came out, or is it just like a teaser trailer?
No. Teaser was already there, but now is the full trailer, and they say it's quite gory. So have a look. Probably YouTubers are gonna probably have it, but have a look and see. Because honestly, as I say, it's well worth reading. Time.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment. Okay, it's hefty. It's 144 issues, so it's a lot of things to read. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm actually gonna watch that TV series as well because I'm a cartoon fan. I'm really a big cartoon fan, so I wanted to see what they're gonna come up with in completely the people who hasn't done cartoons before, I presume. But yeah. I hope they're gonna continue. Like they will be very not like thoroughly to the comic book, but I hope it's gonna be as entertaining and really like gory. Imagine cartoon formats, kind of like beautiful colors, and suddenly there's true blood splashing everywhere. It's like what? Sure.
Speaking of blood splattering, did you
Yeah.
finish Primal? I know that we talked about it quite a while ago. Did you watch all of it now, or did you
No, I'm struggling
weren't able to
to.
find it?
No, I'm struggling to get my husband to actually commit to it.
Oh, I see.
Because
Okay.
he's very like I want to watch him with him because I think he loved it at the beginning, but at the moment because what we are
Yeah.
dealing with our son, I think it's a very difficult time to just
Yeah.
get space to watch that. But
Coordinate.
I always see it, I always mention it, but he's like, oh, I want something funny. I don't want something like he doesn't want
Yeah,
serious,
yeah,
like he wants like hilarious stuff to watch. So
yeah.
I'll
Which
force
totally
him for
makes
sure
sense.
because I
Yeah.
want it because they have also in the same thing they have other like a rock kind of styled cartoon as well by him as well. I actually should when I will discover like actually remember the name and write down somewhere. I'm going to mention it to you to see if you actually
Yeah.
know it because it's the same artist, the same guy who did Primal anyway. So he has another one which I have not seen you mentioning it because it's not Samuel Jack. It's more of the as I say, I don't know. I'll show it to you. I'll take a picture.
Okay.
I'll show it to you. You'll tell me exactly what you think. But I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
it's the
cool.
same creator though. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know all of his stuff, so I'm sure there's going to be stuff that's flown under my radar because I just haven't kept up with him. And even like I said, this Primal, it just came to me like Chicho, I think, was talking about it. One of the other channels that I watch, like I think it just came up, and I hadn't heard about it previously. But as soon as I saw the trailer, it's like, dude. And Scott, I completely agree with Scott. Like it just, Gendy Tartakovsky. It just gets even better. I mean, but it's not a comedy filled show, that's for sure. Like it's heavy duty, but it does just even get better as it goes on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I like kind of watched with him first episode, and I want to continue with him as well. I'm just looking to see if I can find anything, whatever that show. But I don't see it. That's the thing. It's just randomly came up to, like sometimes you see something, you spot it, and if you wouldn't have mentioned it about Primal, I wouldn't probably even remember.
Yeah. See, and there's one I have no idea. I've heard of that one. Symbiotic
that's the one.
Titan.
Well, let me check if it's the one I was, because I am telling you, it's like I remember his name, and I was like, yeah, and like the art style of the artist, you already recognize straight away. It's like a fingerprint almost.
Did you like it, Scott? Was that a good one? Because I'm not familiar with that at all, so I'll have to look that up.
I don't see it in images. Well, no, not that one. That's I think is this the one he's talking about? I hope I'm not sure. Let me show you the art. Is this the one he's mentioning?
Oh, cool! That looks
that looks good, no? But it's not the one I've
still
seen.
Recognizable as his style. Hey, there's something about the face, the look on face.
I'll show you the one other one. That looks great as well.
What the hell? Yeah, no, I've never seen those pictures before at all.
There you go. So,
and sorry, that's the symbiotic Titan, or is that something else?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay,
yeah.
Dude.
So yeah, I don't know. I must say I'm gonna have a look for sure now. I have to be mentally remembering that to make sure I show it to you, because curious as well to see if you actually know it. And I want to actually watch it because it's available for me to watch it. So I'm gonna watch the first episode and give you a feel for that. So it's very difficult when you commit something with your other half, and then it depends on them, kind of thing. Because I want to, it would be interesting for us, especially non-verbal one, but it's very emotional, as I say. Like I cried for the first episode. So.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine what I will do after.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's. From what I think, like you've hit, those are the really gut-wrenching ones, the first ones. The other ones, it gets interesting because it feels like he plays with genres and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like it's his chance to do kind of like an anthology cartoon. Like there's just some really quality episodes, and it just kind of, I don't understand. It's part of what makes it's this kind of undetectable quality, like I was talking about when I was reading that Pluto book. there's something, I've read a ton of stories with robots. I've read a ton of comics, but there's some sort of magic that happens every once in a while where, like, my son is reading Pluto as well now too, the 4 books that I have. I mean, he's kind of said the same thing, that it's just, there's this magic that happens where you can put something in a page, even though you've read it a bunch of times, but there's something that changes where you have this different connection to it. And it really is like that with Primal, where you kind of get the concept, and yes, there's been some gut-wrenching stuff, but it's like, well, how are you possibly going to make this interesting for 10 episodes? And then he does, and it's like, how the fuck are you even doing this? How am I having this reaction to this? Like you said, it's wordless. It's a fucking dinosaur and a caveman. Like, how basic can you get? But it just, there's something about the magic there that comes through the screen that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I've started watching Clone Wars, started watching that, and we also started watching Rebels as well too. I personally like Rebels a little more. I'm still going to give Clone Wars a good shot because I've only watched a couple of episodes. Yeah, because I've heard really good things about Clone Wars.
Yeah. I'm watching Clone Wars and I'm loving it. I think you get into the rhythm of it and stuff like that, but it's the storyline and everything. He just jumps in. There was one time I was watching one of the episodes where they were like trying to save one of the, like one of the planets, and they want the planet, the people who were living in there, didn't want to help, but they like, oh, we are good people. And then they're saying, oh, you're not sure if you're good people. You just say that you're good people. And then the bad people comes in and then destroy you because we know you, kind of thing. Like the Star Wars typical thing, but really good storytelling. Cool. I actually should watch Rebels because I don't think I have even started watching it, because I do enjoy some of the times.
My son isn't as crazy about it, but I'm really liking it. I think we watched 3 or 4 episodes. I don't know. The first episode, like, it took me maybe 2 or 3 episodes to get into it. Maybe we watched. I started getting into it quite a bit, but Clone Wars, like I said, I think I've only watched maybe 2 episodes total, and I know that went on a lot longer, I think, than Rebels did. So I'm willing to give it a chance. We finished watching a bunch of Star Wars movies with Lillian, and dude, have you seen all the Star Wars movies? Have you seen Rogue One?
Yes.
My God, that blew me away. I fucking like, I have like now a mental list of my favorite Star Wars movies. I'm telling you, man, that is right at the top. I thought that was it took me by surprise, because I'm kind of hot and cold at the best of times with Star Wars. I'm not hugely invested in the movies. I do like them. I do like some of them, but holy shit, man, Rogue One took me by surprise. Like, this kind of epic tragedy that kind of unfolds with that movie. Holy hell. And like the final scenes in it, man, I love that movie so much. That's easily one that I was talking to the guys on the bowling team, and they're fans of it as well too. So one of the things, once things fully open up, it's like, because they're like, oh, I wouldn't mind seeing it again. It's like, anytime you guys want, as soon as we can open up and have people over, come on over. Let's buy some beer. Let's buy some food. Let's watch it again. Because that last 5 minutes of Rogue One, dude, seriously, man, like, I don't get invested in the Star Wars movies like that. Even my wife was kind of laughing at me. She's like, wow, you really, I'm like, that was the fucking best movie I've ever seen in a long time. Really well done for a Star Wars movie where you weren't expecting too much. Fantastic premise, pulled off so well.
Yeah, I watched it in cinema.
Oh,
I went
dude,
to see it with my husband.
Jealous.
We went in that time because, like, something new of Star Wars. Well, I'm a fan of Star Wars in a way, not like a complete crazies, but you know what I mean. But it was really good to watch in cinema, especially like, I kind of, actually, we weren't just talking to me and my husband about wanting to be in cinema, like, really kind of miss that kind of experience, even though a lot of times you get pissed off with other people, but just having that that giant screen to look at, like, getting those stupid, like, people like popcorns and all that drink, all that shitty stuff, that you get, but that experience is still, I want that, like, I really hope it's gonna come back, but never know when. Another TV series animated, I was talking to you, Green Lantern one, which I actually really got excited about. Green Lantern is this.
Yes.
It's called It's called a Green Lantern animated series. It's only had one season, but it's such a spectacular season. I don't fucking care. I don't understand why we're even not like having another one. But everybody who's watched it, they're saying this is like, if you want something DC type of a TV series, this is amazing. This is really good.
Yeah.
One of the best. So it's called A Green Lantern and the animated series. So
Mhm.
I wanted to mention, I showed to you, and so because I mentioned it last time and I couldn't remember the names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
I thoroughly, I don't know. I'm okay. I'm a fan of Green Lantern. That really helped me, of course,
Yeah.
because like you're a fan. You of course you'll be interested to watch it. But
Yeah.
storytelling was good. The Hal Jordan looked like that, like reminded me a bit of like Batman figure, the animated series, like that square type of a thing, like looked like a little bit different and stuff. And does remind me a little bit of the Clone Wars, like an animation type of things. But
Yeah.
the storytelling I really enjoyed because the way they were doing it. So as I say, if you feel like DC something like that, or Green Lantern generally, so you can watch it or even find out more about it because it does really explain Green Lanterns really well in that series anyway. So
honestly, a lot of because we've got a bunch of the DC animated movies and stuff like that. Like I like most of them. I just pulled one out recently. Justice League Dark. I've got the Justice League Dark movie, which I don't think I ever actually watched the animated movie. I don't think I saw it. We started watching it, but my daughter was in the room, and it's pretty graphic right out of the gate, so we had to stop it. But I'm kind of a fan of all of that stuff. I think what happened with the DC movies for me, because and that's one of the things that's kind of stopping me from jumping into Clone Wars. I'm not crazy about that animation style because, like I said, we were buying every single one when they came out. I was buying them all, and it just reached a point where they started getting. I understand, you have a time limit. You're there to make money. They started getting really basic with the backgrounds and the vehicles and things, and it started bugging me. It didn't feel like there was enough character to the animation. I understand why they did it, but it started turning me off of watching the movies because the style of it just wasn't there for me. That said, though, the Justice League Dark story looked fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that New Frontier, they did great work. And even if you listen to that commentary track with Darwin, he talks about how involved he was in it.
Yeah, it was
partly the team that was doing it. He said, I felt really glad that I had such a good creative team working on that story because they pulled it off. I think they did a really nice job with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's even like I remember I watched that first. Actually, I watched animated series first, and then I was starting to look for that book. And then you have that nice cover, that slipcase thingy collectible, which is absolutely nowhere to find anymore. It's like that's why they were reprinting it so many times, and people are still buying it. And because it's a good story, it's really well told. And my favorite character there was Wonder Woman, which I'm not like a big Wonder Woman fan, but the way he's representing Wonder Woman, and that's how I want to see her. Yeah, exactly.
That's the one.
Yeah. That's the one. The way she was overtowering the Superman, that was just loved
but even
it.
the floppies, like the single issues of New Frontier, it's one of those, like, in town, I end up seeing everything at some point. I never see those. I never see the New Frontier issues. And if I have, it's like I'll see one of them. But I never come across those. It's just another one of those, like, I think people bought it and they just aren't letting go of it because it's not out there in the used bins when I go hunting.
And now even like because Darwin unfortunately is not here anymore with us, so that's even became more tougher to find out because I always been looking for it because I always like double dip it and like, oh, is it worth it? But now I want it. It's only 6 issues and it's like, oh, it should be easy to find. But every single time I've seen, they are very, very expensive. Somebody's asking way too much. It's like, no, I mean, I love to get it, but I just like, when you just wanted to add in some of them, but you don't want to buy because usually they sell it in a stack, the whole run, and you're like, yeah, it's too much money. I'm glad I have that hardcover reprint issue, which I always have it, and I really love to look at when I feel like Darwin Cook, and which is. I miss it, to be honest. That the smiles and all the time being so happy because that's what you see with his art. Always positive.
Yeah, crazy. So you're having the same thing. Wow. So I know I'm on to something when even DaCosta's saying he can't find it because I mean, like we talked about before, the warehouse seems like the spot that he to. That seems like such a great spot to find everything. So it's next to impossible to find. So I know that, going forward, if I ever see, even though I have the slipcase that Absolute
Yeah.
edition was beautiful. I had the
Mm.
graphic novels as well too, but once I got the slipcase, I gave them away to a friend of mine who had never read them, a guy that I work with who was interested. I gave him that, and I think I gave him Fear Age, and I think I gave all of that to this was the same guy. Just to once I upgraded, I just gave that stuff away because there were just such good stories. I didn't want to trade them in. I figured someone else I know that loved comics should read them. Yeah.
Yeah. The Fear Agents are apparently coming out with a TV series as well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Do you remember we were talking about that with Damon? Because you can't find that hardcovers, those library editions, those beautiful things, which are one thing I have is like, oh yes, I have them. I'm never going to sell them though, because they really look as beautiful.
I've got the single issues.
Yeah, because I have single issues, and then comparing that when you open that one, it's like the page is like, like we say, we are a fan of those big pages anyway. So. Yeah.
I have issue number 1. I have standing by like a small stack. I've got a small stack of stuff that eventually I get graded, and I think that's one of the other ones that, especially if that TV show becomes a reality, I would grade that sucker and see what it goes for.
Yeah, the Gotham Gaslight, it wasn't. That wasn't great.
I saw that today. I had it in my hand actually, the comic, really? But I didn't jump on it. He had some of the issues there, or I think
the comic is good.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, the art is great inside as well. I liked it. But the movie they made was kind of like It didn't stand out too much.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that cost in library editions. Yeah. Okay, guys. I think
cool.
What time? Oof, yeah. I should go. Yeah, I should wind down now.
Yeah, no, you absolutely should, because it's going to take you a good half hour or so.
Oof, yeah. Well, like the last time I went, it was a record. I couldn't sleep for 1 hour after that.
Oh shit!
My head was just like ding ding ding, like don't even think about it. So it's like I tried to watch. Actually, the best way to do it is to read comics. So I started reading comic books, and it helped me. Yeah. I didn't. I was like, no, I took comic books. I surely not gonna read comics, but I had to. Because that actually helped me to fall asleep. So you have to get Batman Houdini. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that one.
There is one. There's quite a few actually. Nice.
Are you saying that? Sorry, Jared. Are you saying beat up by Batman in that one? I'm maybe missing something there. Like when you read it had that much of an impact on you, or is there some weird Jared Osborne appearance in there? Oh, maybe have you talked about that, Jared? I think maybe you've talked about that in one of the shows, that you're one of the background. Someone based one of the background characters on you. Is that the case? Fill us in on that story before we sign off here. I have a feeling that I know.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Model for a few panels in it. That's super cool.
Nice. Yes, so a lot of good, nice series there is to get for the, like, if you don't want to get into the whole whatever, the whole collection of Batman, but the Elseworlds prestige formats are stupendous because it's very good read usually. Or at least I enjoy it.
Yeah. Thanks for laying out their architectural foam panels and columns. AFPC. We'll go with AFPC. Okay, so let's get the heck out of here. Thanks very much, everybody. That was a hell of a chat today. So many people coming through. Really, really appreciate it. Scott, I don't think we've seen you that often in here. So I really appreciate seeing new faces as well. And thanks so much for hanging out with us for, as long as you did. And, we'll see you next week, maybe. My next couple of weeks are kind of sporadic at best. We'll see how things go. But, we'll be around at some point.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And